Good morning. This is the Oskar Quentin Show, where I talk about politics with strangers on TikTok. Also related matters, whatever I feel like. Today is kind of a strange day. There's a couple of pieces of housekeeping I want to get out of the way right away after I remind the people watching the VOD after the fact on YouTube that you can find a pinned comment that'll tell you when the calls start, and more detailed timestamps of the entire show in the description, because I've hired somebody to do that, so it's been happening much more reliably lately. Today might be a strange show. I've been advertising this week that this was going to be a longer show because I have a live producer in-house today. I do. She's sitting right over there. So hopefully my attention will be better on the Discord, better on the updates, better on the chats, because there's a human being in this room who's going to change what it says on this screen with a separate keyboard and mouse over there if my attention needs to be on something. So hopefully that'll increase the production value and quality of the show overall. But I was wrong. We're not going to go straight for 3 hours today because there's been a rally planned for the Minnesota 15, which is 15 constitutionally protected ICE observers here in Minnesota, the people in the signal chats who are keeping track of ICE and alerting to the neighborhood to their presence, that sort of thing. Those people who got arrested by the FBI a couple weeks, there's a rally today at noon here in Central Time. That's 2 hours from now. And it's pretty nearby, so I am going to go. So the plan for today is that this show is going to end in about an hour and a half, which is a half hour early. We are going to leave. I'm going to go film some content, meet some of my buddies, participate in the rally, and then depending on how long it runs, this show might have a part 2. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, you already know the answer to that question because you can tell how long the video is. If it's 90 minutes, there wasn't a part 2. If it's more like 3 hours, then we came back in the afternoon and did another 90 minutes. When that will be, I don't know. I can't advertise that, but there might be a second part of today's show. And we already have a donation to read from whom? From Kronos over on YouTube Super Chat, who sent $5 to say, W, Jesse, good luck with your first live day. Yeah, let's get some W's in the chat for Jesse for doing their first production day. Noodle, one of the show's mascot, is more likely to demand bark when there's another human in the room. So that's something we're going to deal with. But there's also a human here to deal with her barking. That isn't me. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, do I have any other housekeeping items to do? I don't know. I'm getting distracted by Noodle barking. But it's nice. I don't have to quell her. There's a whole person for that. I'm going to get the multi-guest request queue open so we can take a look at if we have any callers waiting, though I would have gotten a notification earlier if we did. Let me select the stream over on YouTube so I can see the details. There we go. Let's put this over here. All right, no requests. What type of noodle is Noodle? Noodle looks a lot like a chocolate lab. She is not a chocolate lab. She is I met her parents. Her dad was like a 120-pound yellow lab, and her mom is an Australian shepherd. So she's hyper intelligent, hyper social, hyper trainable, hyper intelligent, but hyper impulsive. So she's like, she needs a job. She's a work and breed dog. So she requires lots of work, and it'll probably be a little bit of a challenge to get her used to there being another person in the room when I'm doing the show. So I apologize in advance for her barking her head off. She does that sometimes. Someone asked about the status of mobile call-ins. I am working on that. It's especially with bringing staff on. There's a bunch of ironing out that I'm doing about procedural stuff on the show in terms of keeping things running smoothly. And I want to change how all the hardware works. Specifically, I'm going to do something that I have never seen. I do see somebody in the request queue, so I'll get to you in just a second, argument. I'm going to do something that I've never seen another TikTok creator do, and it's something I've been talking about with the other hosts as the solution. Is I've seen too many people lose their accounts because they have mobile call-ins through a phone number, but because TikTok sees that account, that audio stream is coming from my account, I'm the one who gets in trouble if they say the N-word. I'm the one who gets in trouble if they say something else that violates TikTok. So what we can do is take a friendly account, like one that, here, I even forgot to do this at the beginning of the show. I can take my own account and join the multi-guest request queue myself, and then we can see Oskar Quentin 2 pop up in the corner. Muted, so I don't speech jam myself. So it won't be Oskar Quentin 2 because I value that account, but we're going to set up a burner account to pass the phone calls through and then do that with hardware through an external phone. So I'm going to buy a whole separate phone. I'll have the show running through 3 phones and I guess now 2 computers. So the idea is to have those calls come through in such a way that if somebody says something bannable, I just burn an account and I can get a new one. I haven't seen anybody do that solution, but I think that's the path to not have the account get taken down, and then we can take calls from people who don't use TikTok, because plenty of chuds on all the other platforms have been complaining about the fact that they think I'm gatekeeping. They think I'm running away from them by not allowing them to call into the show through any other means than the ones supported by TikTok. But at the end of the day, I really do risk getting this account banned if I try to do it any other way. other than the one I just described. So it's a major technical challenge. I actually have a table of like the different like mix matrix that's needed to get sound working in all the right places. Why did I get kicked? I disconnected by live creator. Maybe the chuds aren't lying when they say that they get kicked, even though I didn't kick them. Let's get me back in there. I want people to follow Oskar Quentin too, so that if I do get banned, I'll be okay. Yeah, why is it? I don't know. Maybe that doesn't want to work today. Something's going on with this phone. We're going to talk to Truth. We're going to see if he knows the truth. We're going to check how old he is and if he's a Trump supporter. How old are you, Truth?
Oh, I'm 53.
53. Are you a Trump supporter?
No, I'm not Trump supporter. I'm not MAGA, but I am Republican. And okay. I come into your lives every now and again and think you do a good job. And this is what I'm asking you. Supreme Court knocks down his appeal. Mm-hmm. It's clear he's guilty now. How is he still our president? How are they still allowing this?
I'm going to do something interesting, and I'm going to play devil's advocate first. I'm going to say, first of all, just because the Supreme Court says that the president did something or tried to do something unconstitutional doesn't necessarily mean that they should be removed from office. We can point out a conspicuous example that gets brought up by my callers quite a lot, like the fact that Biden tried to forgive student loans in a way that the Supreme Court saw as unconstitutional, and they shot that down, and he had to try through a different approach. I can look at that and go, okay, that's the checks and balances working. As an American, as a patriot, as somebody who values the checks and balances system, my concern is this question. How many times must the president be stopped from what they're trying to do by the Supreme Court before we just point out the fact that they're obviously trying to get around the Constitution? Biden did it. Trump did it. Seems like it's the same. Trump has done dozens, if not hundreds, of unconstitutional things in his term. And I think that we're in this situation where there isn't really a mechanism to say the checks and balances are being used too much because the president is obviously in broad daylight trying to get around them. That's kind of what I think the state of affairs is. What do you think about that description?
I like what you're saying, and I think both parties are allowing this to happen. We can make our guesses why. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist on your show, though. This is what I'm saying, though, about the appeal. It's about the the essay. They said, no, we're not even going to hear your appeal on this. You owe her $5 million. And in the other one with the defamation and stuff, that's going to be like $80 million. And that's probably going to get denied, too, with the appeal. So that's kind of what I'm saying. How could he still be our president when he has this horrific thing attached to him?
Here, well, I think that a sensible rule to have in this country would be that if you are found civilly liable of sexual abuse, you shouldn't be the president. Do you think that'd be a sensible rule?
Of course.
Yeah, we just don't fucking have that rule because we've never dealt with this before. There's a degree to which it's just not something we have. There's that speech jamming. Sorry, that was my secondary account because the phone's sitting right there. It's not something we have an enforcement mechanism against. So one thing I say is that we need to change some laws that prevent so lawless a person as Trump becoming president. And then people go, oh, but those things are already illegal. But no, here we are in a situation where you and I are both upset that he's still eligible for the presidency, even though the courts agree that he, at least to the burden of proof required in a civil litigation, is guilty of having done this horrible thing to a woman. That to me should be disqualifying. But it just isn't. We need to write some new laws about that, I think.
But I'm confused about both parties, the Democrats and the Republicans. Why don't they just get together and say, dude, we can't allow this in America. This is horrific.
Well, here's interestingly where you and I maybe might start finding our conflict, because I feel like it's mostly been common ground for this conversation, which is an interesting way to start the show, especially talking to a Republican. I think that the answer to that, clear as day, is that we can look at those things I brought up, that I think there should be laws to protect us against. Like, we shouldn't allow a president who's been found civilly liable of sexual abuse. But there are a bunch of things that he's done that, according to the letter of the law, according to the way that we think about impeachments in America, I do think it's pretty obvious that he should have been disqualified for doing a bunch of other things that there are rules against. But the fact of the matter is that the Republicans in Congress are largely, across the board, more than 90% of them, more than 95% of them, the vast majority of them, don't give half a shit about any of those rules. They are just loyal to Trump instead of the Constitution. And because the way impeachment works is that high crimes and misdemeanors is up to the interpretation of Congress. It's a small list of people. It's a three-digit list of people, three-digit number list of people who get to decide what a high crime and misdemeanor is and whether or not somebody deserves to be impeached and then possibly convicted if they think he did that thing in Congress. And it's just Republicans lying through their teeth with their vote. They're saying, nope, I don't think he did that, or I don't think that that's a high crime or misdemeanor. And I think we can look at the things he's being accused of and say, that's bullshit.
Oh, yeah, there's really no way to justify it and sound like an adult. You'd sound like a 10-year-old child. Well, I'm going to let you go. You do a really good job.
Hold on. There's one thing I want to hold you to.
Sure.
Do you agree, based on what you just said, that most of the Republicans in Congress are acting like 10-year-old children?
I think both parties are. I think both parties have an invisible line they're connected to, and there's a lot going on that's not being said. I don't even know how Trump sniffed the White House, to be honest with you. How MAGA became a thing, because I don't think a lot of Republicans are MAGA. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it required the cooperation of all of those Republicans. It still has. He's been twice impeached, and in both impeachments, right. I think it was absolutely clear he was guilty. Absolutely clear that he was guilty of a thing that any reasonable person would call a high crime or misdemeanor. But it was those Republicans who, behaving like 10-year-old children, said, "Nope, I'm just gonna support Mr. Trump, even though it's pretty clear what the Constitution says about this, pretty clear what the law says about this." So I don't think it's fair to bring up that it's a bipartisan issue, because you can find examples of Democrats doing crooked things like that. But I don't think that there's a single example of an issue like this where something so sacred as protecting our own democracy and the rule of law and the Constitution, where across the board, every single Democrat voted in a way that's flagrantly unconstitutional. I don't think there's an example of that.
How do you think we're going to fix this? I'll stay on for one more second. How do we get past all this?
I am putting a lot of attention right now on the midterms, because I do think it's possible. I think it's very possible that we'll get the majority needed in the House if enough people vote blue in this particular election, that will get an impeachment. Now, we need more votes than that, and we need more than 50% in the Senate to get a conviction, because it's the House that decides to do an impeachment, and then the trial is run by the Senate. It's not in terms of the statistics of this upcoming election and the polling and the number of seats that are up for referendum. It's just not really practical to expect that we're going to get a landslide victory for the Democrats that are going to get him convicted. So the only thing that'll get Donald Trump convicted, if and when he gets impeached by a blue majority House after November, is if we just have a handful of Republicans who agree with you and me, who think that what he's doing is so flagrantly unconstitutional that we need to put a stop to it. We saw that happen with the Epstein Files. The Epstein Files Transparency Act, which is not being followed by the Trump administration, but it passed because a handful of Republicans betrayed him. The only path we have to impeaching Trump for his high crimes and misdemeanors before the end of his term is to get a few more Republicans to betray him. And the number of Republicans that we need to betray him will be made fewer by however many blue seats we win in the midterms, which is why I hope we can agree that the midterms are probably important. But now you're in a situation as a Republican where, to continue agreeing with me, you need to hope that there's a blue landslide in the midterms.
Unfortunately, but I think it's for the best for the country at this point. These are some questions I have too. What do you think the feeling is for Vance in the Republican Party? Because if they kind of like Vance, they're going to have to lead up to the next election cycle for president. They're going to have to kind of distance themselves from Trump. I think they're going to maybe even get rid of Trump, have Vance step in, and then try to make it a normal election in a couple years. What do you think of that? Well,
so I'll start by saying that time will get rid of Trump soon enough, because he's 80 and in poor health. So there is just something of a deadline on his rule of the country. But the reason I still, in spite of that fact, put so much value on this possibility of getting an impeachment, where even if he doesn't get a conviction, the American people will at least have to watch the trial, will at least have to hang him out to dry on all these things that he's done, which would be really, let's mute MAGA forever for a second, which would be really, really good just in terms of the optics of it. But there's a possibility of him getting impeached. And if we see those, or being convicted, and if we see those sorts of consequences for the president, then somebody like J.D. Vance has to become president in a world, in an America, where Congress will actually fucking impeach you if you break the rules, and that will drastically change the way that he has to navigate the office. That, I think, is really important.
And that would be good for America. We have to get back to a semblance of normalcy, following the Constitution and following the laws of the land. because it's not happening. I don't really think in either party. I'm not trying to put down the left. I'm not here to do that. We need Trump gone. We need MAGA gone.
Yeah, I agree completely. Sorry, I'm distracted by the fact that it has been pointed out to me that I put the apostrophe in the wrong place on this sign. Sorry for letting that distract from the conversation. But the beauty of having a live producer is that I get a new sign very quickly.
Well, good. I appreciate you taking the time with me. And, I think the bottom line is most Americans want America back. We want to continue to build forward, follow our laws, live in peace. And that's the bottom line.
I want to go back to a time where you and me, as you being kind of, sounds like maybe you sound like a Republican from 20 years ago.
Since Reagan, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to argue about tax policy and fiscal policy and all that boring shit, but we've just got all this nonsense on our plate to deal with first, and we are a little bit stuck dealing with that. But I appreciate your time, and I'd love for you to keep calling in and talking, because it's a friendlier conversation than most I allow, especially this early in the show when I'm still trying to get engagement and views and stuff. But I thought this was really productive.
I appreciate your time. I wish you the very best. Take care.
Have a good one. Disconnect Truth. W's in the chat for Truth, because I'm sure me and Truth disagree about some really important shit that's really really important to my basic principles. But sounds like he's on the right team for now, and I think that that's important. In the same way that I argue with people farther left than me who hate the Democrats too much to want to vote for them, and I still just think we really gotta, not take our eye off the prize here, which is to correct the current problem we're having in this administration, because we're not gonna make positive change going forward. Pardon me. After that, if we let the Republicans win the midterms. MAGA forever. How old are you?
I'm 63.
63. Are you a Trump supporter? I'm guessing you are.
Absolutely.
All right. Why is that?
Pardon?
Why is that?
Well, I could never, ever vote for a Democrat, ever. I did once, a long, long time ago, when I was young and foolish, much like yourself.
Okay. Again, that's just kind of, I can extend the same question. Why is that?
Why is what?
Why do you think it's so foolish to ever vote for a Democrat?
Well, because I live in the state of Washington. I grew up in the state of Oregon, which both of those states have been under blue leadership my entire life. Well, not entire, but for the most part. Just like your previous guest, I'm an old Republican, Reagan Republican, and I've seen what blue leadership does. And there's just no way I could ever, let me finish, please just let me finish. Okay? I see what blue leadership does. I live in it every day. I see it. And there's just no way I could ever vote for it. Ever. Never.
Are you familiar with the Human Development Index?
No. Actually, I am.
Yeah, so just really quick for the audience, it's this internationally recognized measure of societal well-being. They actually very carefully don't consider money, because money is a means, not an end. It actually doesn't matter how much money you have. It matters how much food you have, matters how much education you have, matters how good your housing is, matters how likely you are to get a terrible disease. If you get a terrible disease, it matters how likely it is for you to get health care for it. These are ways that we measure like how much it sucks to live somewhere. And the HDI is this score where you get a score 0 to 1, or if you want to think about it, you can multiply it by 100 and say it's 1 out of 100, or 0 to 100. And 0 would be a really bad score, and 100 would be a really good score. And one thing I often look at when we're talking about the quality of life in different states is we can look up on Wikipedia a list of all of the 50 states by HDI. I'm going to ask you to watch the background noise. It's a little noisy. I'm just going to mute you while I'm talking. I don't usually use the mute button, but I'm going to get to my end of the explanation about HDI and hope that your background noise is a little gone when I bring you back in. So I want to talk about, you talked about Washington and Oregon and you not liking what the Democrats did there. But before I even get to arguments about them in particular, do you think that HDI is maybe a good way to look at quality of life in a particular place? I've invited you to unmute your mic.
To be honest with you, I don't have enough information on how that that data is gathered and how that data, I'd have to take a deep dive into the data itself.
Okay,
before I could make that decision. I'm a real data-driven guy, so I would need to look at that data, and I can't just look at it like that. I would need to, study the data. Where are the drivers coming from? Where is that information coming from? So just in general,
that's actually totally reasonable. I'm totally okay with you having that perspective, but I just want to give you a sense of the sorts of things that HDI says about the world. Iceland, I consider to be here at the top of the list with the highest HDI of all 200 or so countries with 0.972. That's like 97.2% out of 100. That's pretty dang good, but Iceland's tiny. It's an island. They're like in good cahoots with Europe. They're kind of an outlier. Norway's a pretty good example, and we see a bunch of similar countries like Denmark and Germany and Sweden, places in Europe that have good social policies that rank really highly on this. And, we don't even score all that badly because, things are pretty nice here in America. We're tied in a three-way tie with New Zealand and Liechtenstein for 17th. But if we keep going, this list kind of makes sense. We get to some, European countries that maybe aren't doing so hot. We keep going. We find ourselves expanding out across the map. We find ourselves in the Middle East. Russia's here in the middle of the pack because, Russia has some modern cities. It doesn't totally suck there. It's slightly better than it is in Malaysia or Armenia. And then if we get to the bottom of the list, if we look at the broad strokes of the order that we end up with, if my mouse will work for me, goodness, we find that there's some countries where it really sucks. And I think it's okay as a person on the left to objectively say, I'm a Minnesotan who loves my Somali neighbors, and I love that they're here, because according to this list, it fucking sucks in Somalia. The only place it sucks more, according to this list, is South Sudan. And I think the exact ordering of these things doesn't matter so much. It's that if we look at the bottom 10, would you rather live in the bottom 10 than the top 10 on this list?
Well, I don't see why it's taking you an hour to try to make a point. I'm not sure what your point or what you're trying to get to. Part of it's educating the audience. There's a lot of people watching, and I like educating about HDI. We could even say, let's go to the middle of this list. We saw the top of the list. It makes no sense. You really need to move on. I don't think you like the argument. I think you're trying to run away from the fact that. Okay, keep going. All right. So here, let's go to the middle of the list. Round about 100 out of the 200 countries that there are. We get countries like Mongolia, St. Lucia, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, Paraguay, so some other such places. Would you rather live somewhere here in the middle of the list, or again at the top of the list in Northern Europe? Where would you rather live? Roughly here on the list? I would rather live in the USA. Well, okay, that's actually okay, so if I say instead of the middle 20 countries, I say the top 20 countries, United States is an option. Look at that. So how about middle 20 versus top 20? Where would you rather live? I'd rather live in the USA. I don't know. You're dodging my question. You know it. I'm saying that there's you recognize that the bottom bracket of this list is really, really, really bad. And but now that we're getting a little more specific, you're not even going to accept the fact that the top 20 includes the United States, the place that you want to live, and that's better. Because what I'm asking you is that, if you, for some reason, were going to be teleported to one of these countries and had to begin a new life there, and I said it's either going to be one of the top 20 countries or one of the middle 20 countries, pick a sensible choice. You know the right option. I think you just said it. You're just unwilling to say it in the way that I'm trying to get you to. I'd rather live in one of the top 20 if that's my choice. Sure. Yeah, right. Because you recognize that gives you a better shot of living a happy life, right? That's the whole point, right? Okay. Yeah. I argue that extends to the list of states, which we're now looking at, where I like to point out that Massachusetts and New Hampshire are small, wealthy states, kind of outliers in the same way that Iceland is. So shout out for my home state of Minnesota. See that little flag? It's that flag. It's my state. That's why I love living here in Minnesota, because the HDI is so high. Actually, the HDI is so high is because so many people love living. Well, fraud and dishonesty in government systems are actually calculated into the HDI. So you can be upset about a news story that you've heard, but that doesn't mean, just because some fraud happens doesn't tank this to zero. It doesn't make it suck to live here because some fraud happened. You recognize that, right? Yeah, ask Nick Shirley. I'd love to. Nick Shirley, I'm coming for you. Please do an interview with me. Anyway, Washington... You wouldn't amount to a pimple on his butt. That'd be hilarious. That dude's bad at talking. You're wrong about that. I challenge Nick Shirley to a debate anytime, anywhere. Hit me up. Anyway, Washington and Oregon... He would destroy you. Would you rather live in the top 10 states by HDI or the bottom 10 states by HDI? Dude, I'd rather live in my beautiful beach house on the Washington coast. That's where I'd live. Okay, again, that wasn't an option, and we're going to play the same
same hypothetical. If you hypothetically were going to be teleported,
I worked my ass off to do it.
You're dodging the line of reasoning. You understood it for countries. You admitted that you'd rather live in the top 20 countries by HDI than the middle or bottom 20. I'm asking you if you'd rather live in the top 10 states by HDI or the bottom 10 states by HDI if you just had to be teleported somewhere randomly.
It really doesn't matter about the HDI because it's more around my lifestyle, what I like to do. I'm an outdoors guy.
No,
so for example, let me finish.
Me too. That's why I live in Minnesota. We have such we have 4 separate biomes. We have lots of state land. We have protected areas like the boundary waters that Trump's coming up. Great. So we have that.
It's a liberal shithole. I wouldn't fucking live there. No fucking way.
But you just think it's a shithole.
When I retire here in a couple of years, I plan to move. I'm moving to Florida.
No, you're absolutely right. No, you've absolutely run away from my line of reasoning. I live in Minnesota. I report that as an outdoorsman. I fucking love it here. I've spent more than a week in wilderness without cell service here, and I love doing that.
Way too fucking cold for me. Way too cold.
Okay, that's your opinion. And if it's because it's too cold, that's actually reasonable. If you don't like the snow, that's a perfectly good reason to not live in Minnesota. I would argue
I like it. I just don't want to live there.
Well, maybe you could live then in somewhere like, I don't know.
I'm going to move to Florida. I'm going to sell both my homes here in the state of Washington, and I'm moving to Florida. That's already a done deal.
But okay, what I want to get to is the question that you dodged, which is that you're dodging I'm gonna insist that you're not.
What's your question?
My question is that if you had 2 buttons on your desk, a green button and a blue button, doesn't matter the colors. I'm just making shit up here. But one of the buttons teleports you to a state that's in the top 10 of the list, and one of the buttons teleports you to a state that's in the bottom 10 of the list, and you don't get to choose which state. And when you land there, you just have to set up a life. Which button do you push, given that you're going to be stuck in the state that you land in?
I would have to see what the list.
Why is it so obvious that when we ask that about countries, you're afraid of ending up in Somalia, so you pick the top 10 or top 20, so you might end up in the United States or a comparably a country that's comparable in terms of societal well-being. But suddenly you're throwing out that reasoning when we look at the
country
states.
Too, though, I'd want to know what the country is because I mean, is it going to?
But you don't get to in my example. And in my example, you you recognize that without knowing which country it's going to be, top 20 countries is better than bottom 20 countries if we're going by HDI. Why don't you recognize that extends to states?
You know who you sound like? You sound like freaking Kamala Harris. You just got all this word salad bullshit, dude.
Somebody pointed out to me, man. I'm chat. Was it word salad? Chat, you following me?
Anybody out in your audience is just probably laughing at you.
Chat.
I mean,
audience, let me know.
Crazy.
Let me know in the chat if I'm making any sense.
You're from Minnesota. You're trying to support freaking Somalis and Somali fraud. Yeah, dude, you're crazy. Do you
think that's a nuanced response to any of the arguments I brought you? Do you think you're looking good in the conversation?
You don't know anything.
How old do you think I am? If I'm just a kid, how old do you think? You said I'm a kid. How old am I?
You have no life experience. You said I'm a kid. Evident.
How old am I? How old is a kid to you?
I really don't care.
You called me a kid. How old do you think I am? Okay, so how old do you think that I am?
You should really just let life kind of mature you a little bit more.
How old do you think that I am?
You need to live some life, dude. Get away from the screen. You're not special. You're not special at all.
Rally at noon today. I'm going to be outside doing content from the street corner in downtown Minneapolis because there's a rally today for the Minnesota 15 who were arrested by the FBI a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, how old do you think I am?
You're never going to amount to anything doing this stuff, dude.
Going pretty well. How old do you think I am?
I don't care. I have no idea, and I don't really care. You talk like an infant. You talk like an infant. So as far as your maturity level, I would say early 20s. You look older than that, but that's what what I'm gathering.
I'm 30.
Okay, I got gray hair older than you.
Okay, then why are you behaving like a child?
I mean, I think you need to experience life a little bit more before you start making these big judgments about.
What does this have to do with HDI?
Parties.
Can you make a sensible argument for why you shouldn't apply your reasoning about HDI for countries to states? That's what I'm not understanding.
My argument was because, like I said, it was just a random thing on the country because I'm just trying to get through your stupid analogy or whatever you're trying to point out.
I don't think it was that stupid.
As far as the states, I would want to make sure that state, because it really wouldn't matter as far as what that state is on that chart, because I'm my own person. Whatever I bring to that state, I'm probably going to improve it. because I don't need help. I've done pretty well in life. So when I arrive at that state, I'll be able to buy whatever I want, live wherever I want, and move on. So that state would need to meet my requirements, like Florida does.
Yeah, but the
I'll be fishing in the Gulf of America every morning. I'll be able to walk out of on my house, get in my boat, and I'll be fishing in the Gulf of America every day.
Okay, so
I want to.
Do you think
I just can't wait. That's going to be fun. You should come fishing with me.
So you have enough money to do that. So it sounds like you can go do that in Florida. I'm happy for you. Do you think that means that based on that experience, that is what you should make political decisions about when you're voting?
No. Not
because the HDI affects everybody. There are poor people in Florida who can't afford to go fishing in the Gulf of Mexico every day.
Well, that's tough. They should work harder then. I'm sorry that it sucks to be poor. It really does. But it's hard. It's hard being poor, and it's really hard it's hard to be rich too. It's hard to get rich. So you know what? At the end of the day, pick your hard. Pick your hard. You can do that in the United States. If you want to be poor, be poor.
If you want to be rich, is small. Be rich. Excuse me. Why aren't you letting me talk? It's my show.
Well, because now you were over talking me, so I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of your own medicine.
I mean, it seems like I didn't need to do anything to make you continue to look like a child on my show. You did that perfectly well on your own. It's just not a very interesting conversation if there's no back and forth. I don't know, man. Who's the child? Let us know, chat. Yeah, I just don't think that your perspective is wide enough. Like if somebody said, does it suck in Florida? I'd rather ask the HDI list than you, because you're one person, and I don't think that you have the statistical capability to gather the data necessary to make an assessment about what life is like on average in Florida.
I don't need a list. I don't need a list to show me. I wouldn't even reference that list. It means nothing to me because.
Why did it mean something to you when we were looking at countries then?
Because you brought it out. I was just trying to appease you. That's it. Okay? That's it. It doesn't mean anything to me because I'm my own man. Wherever I land and my family lands, I'm going to make it good. Okay? It's going to be okay. Whether it be frickin' Alabama, Mississippi, Minnesota, Washington, Oregon, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So at the end of the day,
well,
it really
actually,
doesn't.
The reason I brought up the HDI is because you actually said that it matters greatly. You talked about growing up in Washington and Oregon, and you said that is why you're never going to vote Democrat. And I brought up some data that is counter to that claim. And now you're saying, because you've been so thoroughly backed into a corner about that data, that it doesn't matter, which I think is inconsistent.
Well, it doesn't matter about, is what I mean by that, is it doesn't matter about what that state, et cetera, because I'm still going to succeed. But although at the end of the day, I see what that leadership has done to the state. Like, for example, the state of Washington. It's supposed to be like one of the richest states in the entire union, right? That's what everybody says. We have more trillionaires and billionaires.
What were you saying, Washington? Yeah, Washington is tied with Hawaii for number 5. It's doing well in terms of societal well-being. I don't care about financial wealth, though, if that's what you're talking about.
But the thing of it, we're flat broke. The state of Washington is flat broke.
So what?
We don't have any money. We're like billions of dollars in debt. All the millionaires and
across the board, blue states subsidize red states by paying more into the system than they use.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's not blah 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 blah. You're calling it blah 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 because it's a direct counter argument to what you just said. Who cares if you're broke if your life is nice? That's what the HDI is about. Why do those numbers matter to you?
Well, in the state of Washington, it's not like we can have a national debt by state. You know what I mean?
But I'm not understanding why that matters to you, especially when the data suggests that across the board, it's blue states that subsidize red states.
What's your point? Yeah, I know. It's people like me living in blue states subsidizing fucking red states.
Thank you for contributing to the system in that way. I appreciate it. I think it's a good thing that that's happening because the red states are really struggling because they're at the bottom of the HDI list is one indication of that. So can I ask
you a question? What do you do for a living?
Talk to you.
You know how pathetic that is, dude?
I don't think it's
That's
pathetic.
crazy. This is your job. You know, you wouldn't even have TikTok if it wasn't for Trump. You wouldn't even have your job if it wasn't for Trump.
I think that another service would. I think there's demand for this type of service. I don't know. I mean, I think it's. I don't think it's pathetic what I'm doing. Why do you think it's pathetic what I'm doing?
I think it is. Why are you going to do this until you're 60 years old?
Hold on. It does. Wait, just to make sure that my bills get paid, I am going to thank my donors because some have come in while we're talking. Kronos sent another $5 on YouTube Super Chat to thank producer Jesse for hopping in and fixing the sign.
Oh my God, he begs for money.
Thank you so much. For money. I'm not begging for money. I'm thanking people who've already sent me money.
I got real things to do. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. God loves you. Bye-bye.
No, he doesn't. Thank Craig for the galaxy. Oh, dude, if he's real, he fucking hates my guts. It's pretty clear what the Bible says about people like me. Absolutely. Canadian Princess sent me $5. Canadian Princess sent me $5 Canadian on YouTube Super Chat to say, why can't MAGA ever engage with hypotheticals? Also, trans rights. Yeah. That's so it freaking goes. And then, oh, look at that. My Venmo balance has gone up. Why is that? It's because 3 people sent donations. Georgia sent me, what is this, $7 to say he thinks we're for fraud, but he's a self-proclaimed outdoorsman who votes to sell our public lands and destroy our environment. Fucking idiot. Much love, Oscar. I agree. It is the Republicans' fault that the boundary waters here in Minnesota are in danger. I'd like him to answer that. After I continued reading the donations, the next one's from David, who sent me another $5 on Venmo to say, is he saying an 18-year-old with cancer and overwhelming medical debt just needs to work harder? I think he is saying that because his life has been so easy and privileged that he can't see that that's the sort of plight that so many people in this country face. I don't think he has empathy, and that's why he ran. Goodbye. Zachary sent me $5 on Venmo to say, if I can get it to open on my screen so I can read it. Come on, Venmo. Oh, it's because his name is so long. I keep clicking his name instead of the notification. Super cool long last name. I work as a blue collar and I'm in a union. Unions help the workers more than MAGA. I agree. A lot of pro-union individuals call in and we talk about that on the show from time to time. And Trump is quite the union buster. No good. Joseph sent me $15 on Cash App to say, Oscar is awesome. This guess is what's wrong. I agree. And look at that. More YouTube Super Chats coming in. Kronos says, for $10 on YouTube Super Chat, W Jesse in the background. I grew up in Oregon and Washington. These dummies are everywhere, and most of them in Oregon don't know they have a lesbian governor. Shh, don't tell them. Jazz sent $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say Florida sucks balls, coming from a native Floridian. You want to talk about fraud? Then ask Rick Scott about his Medicare fraud. Oh yeah, I should have pointed out to him that Florida has a greater fraud rate than Minnesota. Perhaps that's why it's low. That's one of the contributing factors to why it is lower in terms of HDI. All right, let's see if I can get the backup account working. Mute, stay. Come on. All right. I don't know why it keeps leaving. Maybe that's why guests complain about being kicked when they're not kicked, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Get your shit together, TikTok. Maybe it'd be better if somebody else saved it instead of Trump, but you guys know how I feel about TikTok. We're going to talk to... I should do an ad read. Okay, if he was still here, then I would tell him, yes, now I am going to beg. I'm going to remind everybody that there's a link tree in the bio, and you should go there and follow me on the other platforms, or at least just click down here on Oskar Quentin too and make sure you're following that, because that's where the show will be hosted from if this account gets banned for saying some of the TikTok no-no words. And if you want to support the show materially, you can do that by sending money to my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. That pays my bills. That pays Jesse. Jesse's getting paid. Raven's getting paid. The show has employees now. There's somebody live timestamping the show. There's somebody here keeping track of things so I don't have to. My cat is trying to eat her headphones. Just pick her up and put her on the floor. Just tell her to go away. So I'm not going to apologize that my cat loves you. You deal with it. It's part of the job. W's in the chat for Jesse for putting up with animal interference during the show. Furthermore, the cat doesn't have headphones. Jesse has headphones so that she can hear the callers because if I have them playing out loud in the room, there's an echo, so we don't do that. Furthermore, there is a Discord that you can now join. Go convince the mods with a ticket on there that you're not going to cause havoc, and you can come participate in getting me live updates and stuff like that on the show. Discord's doing great work. I have it open right now. They're keeping track of things for me. I appreciate it very much. We are going to talk to AdventureJack. And maybe he's an outdoorsman. We're going to see what his thoughts on all this are after he tells us how old he is. How old are you, AdventureJack?
Hey, how you doing? 40.
40. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Oh, why is that?
Oh, we can go into those nuances later. I just want to know why you reference the HDI as if it's some type of monolith for where you want to live.
I think that if we're going to go by measures that can be applied across the board, It's one of the only good ones. It's like the only monolith I can find in terms of speaking on average what life is like for everybody in a place. The previous caller was really interested in what his life was like. He sounded very privileged based on the way he talked about his life. And I'm actually not all that concerned with policies that affect privileged people. Because they're privileged, they get to sort things out for themselves. I'm concerned with policies that affect everybody on average because most people are not privileged. And the HDI does a good job of doing that.
There's an issue with that. So me, for instance, I'm a dual citizen of Greece because ethnically I'm from Greece, and that's low on that list. But I would rather live in a country with a lower HDI rank like Greece rather than a high HDI rank like one of the Nord countries, simply because it's better suited for my ethnicity, right? Like that's the home country. And so do you value the suffering of like enormous numbers of people? Like say we were talking about 100 million people and we had a measure of how much those people's suffering is, how those people do in terms of suffering and quality of life and health and education. And what's the root cause of the suffering?
Do you care? What does it matter?
Well, yeah, it matters. Do you care about the suffering?
It matters in terms of oh, dude, do you have a slur in your profile picture?
What do you mean?
Yeah, dude, you've got the N-word in your profile picture. I'm just going to call it.
No, this is a film. This is actual. This is an actual parody that goes against blaxploitation films. If you remember. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna trust my mods on this one. Jesse, get off the mouse for a second. I mean, I would be afraid to debate somebody with reason, logic too.
Just like don't put that type of shit in your profile picture and you could have been on the show, but you're blocked forever now. Goodbye. We're going to talk to Roman now. I think that's how that's pronounced. We're going to talk to Romanau. How old are you?
Hey, can you buy me GTA 6? Do you remember me? Can you buy me GTA 6? I'll give you the world, baby girl. You just got to be worth it.
I'll give you the block, baby girl. Yeah. Goodbye. Queue's empty, everybody. Am I going to do the ad read again? It's okay. I've got a couple more donations to read. Nicholas sent me $5 on Venmo to say... You asked why he supports MAGA, and the dude was unable to provide a single reason. Classic. Yeah. I just when the mods tell me to kick and block, I do generally want to listen to them. That's just got to trust the team. I am but one mere mortal. Let's see. Do we have anybody in the guest request queue? Noodle, are you the next guest? Noodle, come be Noodle. What do you think about Trump? Come here. Come around this side so that people can see you. Well, go. Which way are you going? Now you're under the desk. Go over here. I don't know. All right, let's get the guest request queue open. Oh, we do. We've got IowaGolfer. I ran into IowaGolfer on a different live. I had to hop up and defend him. I felt like the panel was being mean to him unnecessarily. But we're going to see what he wants to talk about today. Oh, I thought I clicked accept. There we go. IowaGolfer's 27. He's kind of a friend of the show, but he is in opposition, technically. How you doing, IowaGolfer?
Not too bad, buddy. How are you?
That was an interesting panel I saw you on this morning. That was.
Yeah. So I think you kind of understand this when you tell somebody that you voted for somebody in a certain way, and then they don't agree with that. The majority of people just go to resorting to attacks instead of trying to find what common ground you actually have. And I think that's really sad in this world.
Well, to their credit, to play devil's advocate.
Understand that,
To play devil's advocate, I do think it's reasonable for them to be upset that you voted for Trump. I do think it's reasonable for them to be upset that you say you would still vote for Trump again if the election was held again today. I just think that a lot of people on the left let those emotions get in the way of the task of figuring out why that is the case about somebody. And I've talked to you a lot, and I think I do understand the reasons why you feel that way. And they just are less reprehensible than plenty of reasons that that people support Trump. I do think that some of them are bad. I do think that they're worth, really attacking, which is why, as much as I consider you a friend of the show, I'll put your feet to the fire just like anybody else. I just think that. Yeah, I just think a lot of people fail to do the task of actually understanding a Trump supporter, and like, what are we doing if we're just sitting here yelling at people, right? Like it's at least not the way that I intend to run my show. But the chat is pretty mad that you support a rapist, because you do, which is bad.
Yeah,
it's no good.
It's just kind of, it's just kind of the fact of like, as soon as you tell somebody you voted for Trump, they just call you a racist or a bigot or a sexist, something like that. And I don't agree with that whatsoever. Just because you voted for a certain person, that doesn't mean you are those things. But I actually do want to ask you a question. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you don't like to take up too much time with me. But you said something earlier about Trump union busting, which I have seen that. Yeah, I mean, he's not the most pro-union guy in the world by any means.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big news story during the election.
Oh, sorry. Say that again. You broke up there.
It was a huge, like, giant unions wouldn't. I said, wasn't there like a big news story during the election that like 2 giant unions?
Oh, I might have to let you go, Iowa. Bad service. Here, I'm going to let him go because he's going to not take it personally because he's a friend of the show. But we can talk about Trump's union busting perhaps another time. I am going to demand we get some W's in the chat for David Collins because David Collins sent me $80 on Venmo. Fucking thanks, dude. Seriously. He said, I know you're a PC gamer, but I thought I'd gift you GTA 6 since it seems so popular. So he sent me $80. Fucking... David knows how I run the show. He knows that it detracts from the quality of the show for me to have to do the financially necessary thing of talking about the link tree and talking about donations and talking about how the show runs on donations. So he contributes to the bit. Whatever is funny is happening on the show. That's when David starts making big donations. So he keeps it entertaining so that people aren't bothered by the fact that I'm sitting here glazing this guy who sent me $80, which really only matters to me. So W's in the chat for David for riffing off the guy who keeps spamming the show by asking me to buy him GTA 6. Tammy sent me $5 on Venmo to say, I wanted to tell that guest that working hard is bullshit. We are all just one illness or accident away from being disabled or severely limited. Happened to me and millions around the world. I agree. Unfortunately, Tammy, I don't think he was at all in a place to recognize or engage with that type of more nuanced conversation about personal responsibility in a complicated system such as a country in which 350 million people reside. I think that's a real shame, but I try to get people to a place where we can talk about that stuff, and I don't think that was going to happen with that guy. And Jacob sent me $2 to say, hey, Oscar, did you check out my band yet? I think I did. Dan Flashes, right? I like it. It's like I'm a big fan of pop punk, and I've been getting more into music that has screaming in it just because I'm exposed to it from the music scene here. There happens to be somebody in the room who's pretty good at screaming. I'll let you get the plug. You could advertise on the show sometime, Jesse. But yeah, like, you can let me know if my head's up my butt, but it's like, it felt like pop punk that has like those kind of more like hardcore, like post-hardcore melodic, like screaming kind of elements to it. I dig it. I was listening to it in the shower the other day. Anyway, I think that is all of the donations that I'm caught up on before we transition to our next call from Remove Kebab, LOL. All one word, each of those 3 words with the first letter capitalized. Oh, and we got
Can I have
RC.
GTA 6?
Yeah.
Can I have GTA 6? I'll give you the world, baby girl. You just gotta
TikTok,
be worth
give
it.
me a faster
Yeah.
block button. Why is it that it takes like 4 clicks to block somebody? My goodness. We're going to fucking talk to RC. Technically, RC got banned by accident, and you guys never actually came up with the $200 to permanently ban him, but he's back on a different account. So I think we're just going to see what happens, because it has been a little while. And I was just talking to Michael Unmuted. I was on his show yesterday talking about platforming people like RC. So we're going to see what RC brings today, but I might just not be about it. I don't know. What's up, RC? How old are you again?
Platforming people. 30.
Right, okay. What's up?
So it's okay for Hassan Piker to say, let the streets run red with the blood of capitalists, right? It's a call for violence.
Did I say anything of that sort? What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm talking about, like, not platforming people. Is it okay to platform people like him?
I mean, I'm not interested in having a conversation like that with
It's a
somebody
simple
like
yes
you.
or no question.
What? What do you...
Because you're implying, like, I'm too bad to be platformed or something.
Well, here you are on my show. So what are you talking about?
But you were just saying that. So
I guess I was lamenting what I discussed with Michael Unmuted yesterday is that I don't generally ban people because I'm like afraid of platforming them. I think I'm skilled enough at handling monsters on my show that I'm going to say the douchey thing that there are some people
monsters. I'm a monster.
Yeah, I do think you're a monster, and I think that platforming.
I'm a monster.
Are you going to let me answer your questions about platforming you?
You're talking about me like I'm Hitler or something. I'm like Lil Hitler to you or something.
I'm sorry. Are you going to let me answer your questions about platforming you?
It's going to be my new rap name, Lil Hitler.
I'm sorry. Are you going to let me answer your questions about platforming you? Because I was trying.
Yeah, when you hold Hassan equally accountable.
I don't. I haven't said anything about Hassan. You're putting words in my mouth. Stop doing that.
You called me a monster. Is he a monster?
I'm not interested in talking about Hassan until you let me answer some of the things I was saying prior. What you're doing is gish galloping. You didn't let me finish my points earlier. Now you're moving on to other questions about a similar topic. So it looks like we're on the same topic. You're gish galloping within the topic, which is a little clever because it makes it a little harder for the audience to tell that that's what you're doing. But I'm better at this than that. So I'm going to insist that you let me answer the questions I was answering earlier about platforming. You cannot.
I'm going to change my name to Lil Hitler.
Can you? Okay, yeah, you're trying to distract
I'm so
me.
evil.
I was just talking with Michael Unmuted about how you do a thing where when you gish gallop, you bring up something so offensive that it's distracting.
I asked a simple question.
Yeah, it's so distracting. Your thoughts on Hitler. I need to defend myself. I need to make sure my audience doesn't know that I support Hitler. You're going to bring up all these other things, but I'm going to insist that you let me go back to what I was saying about you a second ago, and I'll kick you off my show if that's not what's going to happen because it's a waste of time talking to you.
How about you're Lil Stalin and I'm Lil Hitler? How about that?
Very offensive, very distracting. I was saying about whether or not I think it's appropriate to platform people so monstrous as I think you are. Are you going to let me finish that point?
Dude, it's your show.
Okay, so I'm going to try to finish that point and we'll see how it goes. I think that people like you are dangerous because I think that your beliefs are dangerous to society, and people like you are dangerous to platform. It's playing with fire because you may be successful at spreading hate and bigotry through your speech on other people's shows. I genuinely believe that I am skilled enough at talking to you that that's not the case here on the Quentin Show, Oskar Quentin Show. I think that you look bad on my show, which is why I am willing to platform you.
Oh, okay. So is Hassan Piker evil for calling for violence?
I don't know exactly what you said, and I've heard you quote me, and you do it badly, so I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say about Hassan Piker.
So you're just not going to answer the question?
I don't trust you quoting other people because you misquote people all the time, so I'm not... You can call me whatever you want, but you misquote people. You misquoted me on Michael Unmuted's show yesterday, which is why I called in and addressed it. So no, I'm not interested in answering your mischaracterization of Hassan Piker, who I'm not particularly a fan of.
Why don't you look it up?
Maybe I will.
Double check what I'm saying. It's like a simple search.
Producer Jesse, would you write down that I should look up what Hassan Piker said about something about the blood of capitalists in the street? No, I'm going to spend some time getting educated on it off air, and I'm not interested in what you have unless it's in a clip of what he said.
You don't want to hold Hassan accountable.
Do you have a direct... I didn't say that. I want to carefully hold him accountable for precisely exactly the words he said.
Battle. Me, Lil Hitler, you, Lil Stalin. We'll do a rap battle.
I am addressing Hassan Piker, so you're gish galloping onto rap battles or something. You're still trying to get away from the thing that I did finish what I was saying earlier. Thank you for letting me finish that. I moved on to address your questions about Hassan Piker, but you don't like the way I'm navigating that, so you're bringing up yet something else, which is a rap battle. You're trying to get me into some sort of competitive state where I'd care so much about that I forget what you're doing in this conversation about Hassan Piker, which is deeply dishonest, disingenuous, and shitty, which is why people maybe shouldn't platform you because you're so fucking good at doing this, but the fact of the matter is I'm better.
No. You're a capitalist, though. Hey, thanks for the donations, guys.
Yeah, gotta pay the bills.
You're using capitalist companies to fill your pockets with money. That's pretty.
Unfortunately, one has
to.
That's
pretty ironic.
I lament that fact. It's a bummer that I have to do that. I'd prefer.
Oh yeah, with your capitalist headphones. You're using a capitalist app.
Yeah, it sucks, dude. It sucks the way that we have to engage with this stuff.
You're not a very good Lil Stalin.
So we're
you're
just
not doing a good job of being a Lil Stalin.
Sorry, chat. Let me know what you think this conversation's about. What are we talking about with RC? Let me know.
I'm pointing out that you're a hypocrite. That's what this is about.
I mean, yeah, God, I mean, it's important. It's unfortunate that we have to engage with systems that we don't like. I don't like the police, but I call them if somebody tries to break into my house. By spreading
am I dangerous because I don't believe males can be women?
I described very clearly why I think you're dangerous. I don't think I need to do it again.
Oh, okay. So Hassan Piker can say, "Let the streets run red with the capitalist blood."
I already answered that about trans people. I already answered that.
What if I said that about like trans people?
That'd be bad.
Oh, would it be dangerous? Mm-hmm. Do trans people's lives matter more than capitalist lives?
Ooh, what a weird question. No, I mean, that's not. I don't really think about it in terms of things like that. I would say most trans people are capitalists. What do you mean?
Oh, okay. So then when Hassan Piker said that,
everybody gets one. Everybody's a person. I don't stack rank how valuable people are. Why would you do that?
Well, I guess you got to hold Hassan Piker accountable because you just said trans people are capitalists. I just don't trust you.
Misquoted me yesterday on Michael Unmuted show, and that's how this little 24-hour spat of you and I arguing again started, and that's probably why you're here to talk to me. So I just I cannot take at face value anything that you said anybody said, so I'm just going to sit here agnostic to what Hassan Piker said. Hassan Piker does say some things that I don't support. He's farther left than me, and I disagree with him on some of that stuff, but I just don't trust a quote from you is the issue. You've demonstrated
yourself. He's further left than you?
Yeah.
How is that even possible? He just fell off the political map. How do you go further left than you?
I mean, I still believe it's important to vote for Democrats in the midterm. Hassan Piker has some criticisms about that I disagree with. We're pretty close to each other on the political spectrum, but he is farther left than me.
Didn't he advocate for Kamala Harris?
Probably. I wasn't paying attention to him back then.
Okay, so then that's not even, what you just said is not even true.
Just because we agree on one thing doesn't mean that we don't disagree on other things. That's nonsense, and you know it. You're being disingenuous. You're smarter than that, RC. After you left yesterday, me and Michael Unmuted had a conversation about how we actually don't think that you're stupid. We think you're evil. You're not one of the...
Big baddie. Like I said, I'm Little Hitler. According to you, I'm Little Hitler. Yeah, I'm evil, bro. I'm so evil.
I don't go around calling people little this or little that. I just address the things that they say and do, and I think that you say and do reprehensible things. I don't need to come up with names to describe to people why you're a reprehensible monster, even if reprehensible monster is a name. I just describe what you do in the way that you navigate these conversations in a way that's disingenuous and promotes hateful, bigoted ideologies.
Is Karmello Anthony evil?
I think he's irresponsible.
No, I asked, is he evil? He stabbed a white kid in the heart. We've seen the evidence. I
don't call minors evil ever. It's against my rules.
He's a murderer thug, and he's not evil. But I'm evil because I don't think males can be women. No, I'm big bad evil. Fuck you.
I just as a rule don't call minors evil.
Yeah. Okay, white guilt over here. Fuck you.
What are you talking about? Dude,
he's a literal murderer. He's a literal murderer.
It is technically true that according...
He's not evil, though.
I'll give you an inch. According to the state of Texas...
I'm too good at this, bro. I'm too good at this.
You're not letting me talk.
This is too easy.
I think you'd be letting me talk if you were better at this. I think according to the state of Texas, he's a murderer. That's accurate. According to
Do you believe he's a murderer?
I'm sorry. If you believe he's a murderer, then you should recognize that Donald Trump is a sexual assaulter, right?
Do you believe that Karmello Anthony is a murderer? It's a simple question.
Murderer is a legal label. It is a statement of fact that he's a murderer. He's a convicted murderer.
I'm asking you, from the evidence that you saw, if you were the judge, would you have convicted him of murder?
The judge doesn't do the convicting. The jury does.
If you were part of the jury, well, sometimes the judge does do the convictions, but if you were part of the jury, would you have accused him of murder?
The judge doesn't do the accusing. The judge gives you the verdict.
If you were on the jury,
you want to be technical about this shit. Demonstrate that you understand what you're talking about and ask me the right question.
If you were on the jury, would you have accused him of murder?
I don't know. I'm conflicted about the case. Yeah. I don't like the way self-defense laws work in Texas.
But
That's a big part of my problem with it.
Yeah, this is why this is why people don't listen to the left. They're disgusting.
Okay. What does that have to do with what we're talking about? What is it we're talking about?
If he was white, if Karmello Anthony was white and stabbed a black kid, you wouldn't be saying this.
I don't.
But because he's black,
what exactly is it I'm saying?
Minority. I can't criticize him.
I didn't say he was a minority. I said he's a minor, and I don't call minors evil. That's the only thing I've said about him.
He's a minor and a minority. He's both.
That's bars. But again, you're accusing.
This is one of my Little Hitler bars.
You're making shit up. I didn't say that. What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm playing on words already, like Eminem.
You think you're Eminem, dude? Spit some fucking bars. Let's hear it. All I do is spit bars on this show. That's why so many people fucking listen to me.
Which is funny. He's talked about raping women, assaulting women, unaliving women.
You're just making up positions that I have and then attacking them instead of engaging in the conversation with me. It's pathetic, dude. What are you doing? Grow the fuck up.
You won't call Karmello Anthony evil, who's a murderer thug.
I don't call him. Do you think it's a sensible rule to say that we should not call children evil because they're not adults yet?
No, he's not a child.
I mean, according to my definition of child, he is.
Okay. Well, he's a murderer thug, and I hope he goes to.
You keep saying that it's not a substance. You're not making substantive claims about what he did or what his intentions were. You're just calling him.
Okay, how about this? Is Kyle Rittenhouse evil?
Define the word thug for me.
Wait. Was Kyle Rittenhouse evil?
I also think that what Kyle Rittenhouse did is irresponsible, which is the word that I used for Karmello Anthony. Because they're kids. They were kids. They're both kids. Yeah, they're 17. I think they both did something kind of irresponsible. I think they handled it irresponsibly.
Oh, right. Karmello Anthony literally murdered someone, and Kyle Rittenhouse was defending himself.
Define the word thug. You use the word thug. I want to make sure I understand it. People define that word very differently. How do you define the word thug?
When you do like thug behavior.
I'm sorry. Are you going to use the word thug to define the word thug and say that you're the expert? That's nonsense.
Woman, okay, use woman in the same definition as woman.
I don't.
That's how that works, right?
I don't. You accuse me of that all the time. Every time you're on my show, you accuse me of using the word woman in my definition of the word woman. I use the word sex in my definition of the word gender, and then you say that I use the word woman in my definition of the word woman, but I don't. The question again is, what does the word thug mean? You put your money where your mouth is, and don't let the word thug come out of your mouth while you're defining it.
No, that's what That's what the trans people do. They use the word woman
Define
in the
the word
definition
thug.
of woman.
If that's so reprehensible and it's so embarrassing that they can't do it, then show that you're better and define the word thug.
Doing like illegal stuff. There you go.
Oh, okay. So what's the difference
Like
between a
violent
thug?
crime.
Wait, hold on. So I would use criminal for somebody who does illegal stuff. Are you saying that any violent criminal is a thug?
Yeah, I think violent criminals are thugs. Yeah.
Okay, well, according to your definition of the word thug and the state of Texas that has decided legally that Karmello Anthony is a murderer, he does meet that definition. I don't like your definition of thug.
Murder is violent crime.
Yes, so
he
he meets your he meets your definition of thug. I think your definition of thug is shitty. I don't agree with your definition of thug.
I think your definition of woman is shitty. I think
we're not talking about women. You're bringing up other stuff. You're gishgalloping. Do you want to hear my definition of thug?
No.
Okay, then get the fuck off my show if you don't care about how I use words.
Why are you so triggered, bro?
I'm sorry.
Stalin's pretty triggered. I don't think Stalin got triggered this easily.
Chat, do I look triggered? Let me know.
No, you look like a soy boy, but you're acting triggered.
Yeah, see, you just go for personal attacks when we actually get to the meat and potatoes of the conversation. You're calling the guy thug. You define thug in a way that isn't exactly how I'd define it. You're not interested in hearing my definition, which means you're not interested in having the conversation with me, which makes me wonder why exactly you're on my show. No, I'm not interested in talking about women with you. I've done it for so much time.
I said, how do you define thug?
Somebody who behaves in a way socially to intimidate people, to make them worry about them committing crimes. That's what a thug is to me. Somebody who might check your shoulder on the street, which is a crime. That's a mild assault. They might do that. That's thuggish behavior. I'm gonna make you feel like I might commit crimes in order to get what I want through social skills.
Wait,
that's
so Karmello told him, touch me again, see what happens. That's literally meeting your definition of thug then.
I'm agnostic to a lot of the facts of the case because I wasn't on the jury, and I will admit I haven't spent hours and hours looking at the publicly available information about it. I have some agnosticism about how I feel about it.
That was overwhelming evidence from the eyewitness testimony that was there.
So you would argue that, wait, hold on. I just want to make sure that you're consistent on overwhelming evidence. So you would suggest then that there's overwhelming eyewitness testimony that Donald Trump is a rapist because of the Eugene Carroll case?
Now you're deflecting. Talking about gish galloping, look what you just did.
Checking for consistency. The audience can let us know if they think that's a relevant comparison. So just to be clear, eyewitness testimony, very valuable in the courtroom.
No, but he meets your definition of thug. He threatens. And he said, if you touch me again, see what happens.
We said earlier about how when you were quoting Hassan Piker, I don't trust your quotations because I witnessed...
Can you just take the L there? Can you admit you were wrong about something?
No, I'm going to say the reason I have to remain agnostic, which is that yesterday, 24 hours ago, I heard you misquote me on Michael Unmuted show, and I had to call in and correct it. I said that I don't trust what you say, what Hassan Piker said. I certainly don't trust that you have privileged knowledge about what Karmello Anthony said. So again, I just have to remain agnostic to these things.
Just look it up. It takes like 2 seconds.
I'm not interested in doing that. I'm interested in asking, I want to clarify something that you said, which is that you believe that eyewitness testimony is can be overwhelming evidence of a crime. Is that accurate?
It's possible.
Oh, it's only possible, not definitely. Then is it possible that it's not in the case of the Karmello Anthony case?
When there were a group of people there and they're all saying basically the same exact thing, yeah, that's pretty strong evidence. When you have one woman talking about something that happened 40 fucking years ago, nah, I call cap.
Why are you exaggerating the number of years ago that it was?
What was it? How many years ago was it? 30 years ago?
25?
Okay.
That's an exaggeration. That's a pretty serious exaggeration. That's an exaggeration of like 40, 50%. That's crazy. Why would you do that?
All right, so then why don't you believe the eyewitness testimony in the Karmello Anthony case? What reason do you have to be agnostic to that, other than he's black and you're trying to cover for him as a white savior? Because
I don't value eyewitness testimony all that greatly, and there's much more than eyewitness testimony in the case of the Eugene Carroll case, which is why I believe her. So yeah, I put a big old grain of salt on that type of eyewitness testimony.
So all the people that were surrounding them at the track meet that heard it and saw it, you're just gonna throw doubt on that for what reason?
Did you know that up until like a month ago?
Why are you throwing doubt on the eyewitness testimony?
I'm answering your question. For that? I'm answering your question. I just want to tell you something about myself that might indicate why I feel this way about eyewitness testimony from high schoolers. I want to ask you if you were aware that up until about a month ago, I was a high school teacher.
Okay.
So it is in my professional experience working with kids, high schoolers, and kids of other age groups. All my concerns about how accurate eyewitness testimony is.
There were adults there, though.
Okay. Do you recognize that a person who's one day younger than 18 is pretty similar to a person that's one day older than 18? Nothing magical happens.
There was like full-grown adults there that were staff that were there, eyewitness testimony, giving it in court.
I'm sorry, you're gishgalloping. You're moving on to other questions.
No, but why are you doubting their?
I'm trying to answer that, and you're cutting me off before. Like, we're talking about the high schoolers, so I started bringing something up about that. You recognized it was probably a good argument, and then you cut me off to talk about the adults. But we were talking about the friends of Karmello.
Even if they're not adults, why are you doubting them? What reason would they have to lie?
This behavior is what gets you kicked, dude. You're not letting me talk to you. I think I've demonstrated thoroughly to my audience that that's... No, you're not fucking listening at all. You're listening for the first moment I'm going in a direction that makes you look bad so that you can ask a different question. And it's a tactic that's going to get you banned from my show again because it's not constructive. The audience doesn't like it. We don't get anywhere. We just spend the entire show talking about how you're a piece of shit instead of actually talking about any of your individual beliefs or any of my individual beliefs. And I'm not interested in it. There's better things for me to do with my airtime.
You were a high school teacher and therefore you don't trust the testimony of high school kids, I guess.
That's not... What exactly did I say? I said something a little bit more nuanced than that.
You said you were a high school teacher, and because of that experience, you're agnostic to the eyewitness testimony of the people that were under 18.
No, that's not what I said. I said something a little bit more nuanced than that. Do you want me to remind you what I said? Okay.
Yes.
What I said is that because I have a lot of experience with high schoolers, the agnosticism that I have towards eyewitness testimony generally is amplified with high schoolers. It's not that I have it because they're high schoolers, it's that it's worse.
Why is it worse?
Because they're younger and stupider on average.
Okay, so let's assume that's the case. You don't have to be old and smart to see someone get murdered, hear the victim's cries, and hear the murderer's threats. You don't need to be a genius to understand what happened.
I just have agnosticism about it. Like, what's so unreasonable about that?
If a high schooler, God forbid, if a high schooler was sexually abused, are you not going to believe their testimony because they're young and stupid?
I never said that I don't consider. What? I'm confidently answering your question, and you saw that I immediately had a confident answer, and you cut me off to say instead of letting me answer it. Are you going to let me answer it?
Yes.
Okay, I consider eyewitness testimony. I never said that I don't. You force everything I say into some sort of black and white, this or that, 0 or 100. There's a lot of middle ground here. And when I say that I have doubts about eyewitness testimony that are greater if an additional piece of information that I know is that the person offering the eyewitness testimony is young, I still consider it. And of course I consider it in the case of a student being sexually assaulted by a teacher. But I do also recognize that one rumor is not, or one accusation is not enough evidence for that type of crime to be convicted. So again, this is consistent with everything I've ever said on my show and everything I've ever said to you, and you're just going to argue that it's not. Watch everybody. He's still going to do it, even though I called it out.
No, I would agree that one accusation is not necessarily enough for guilt, but you had a lot of people there that were accusing Karmello of exactly what he did, and their testimonies were consistent.
Okay.
There wasn't much variance in the testimonies. The only variance in the testimonies, the only variance in the testimonies were like Karmello's parents that were basically lying and saying,
I want to be real with you. I want to tell you how I really feel about this. I want to tell you how I really feel about the Karmello Anthony case, which is that I want to compare it to a case that I have stronger feelings about, which is the Alex Preddy case, because there's footage from all these different angles.
Why are you gishgalloping again?
I'm making a comparison between one case and another to demonstrate
you're obfuscating and trying to deflect away so that we stop talking about Karmello because you look bad right now.
I'm going to continue talking about Karmello. I'm going to give a description of the Alex Preddy case, and then I'm going to bring Karmello Anthony back up and compare them together. Are you okay with that happening? And if you're not, I'm going to kick you off my show. We need to be able to compare cases. Come on.
Dude, it's your live. If that's the way you want to do it, sure.
That is the way I want to do it. So we have footage from multiple angles. We have multiple members of the public who were present. We have multiple members of law enforcement who were there, and people still disagree about what happened. We sit and look frame by frame at exactly whose elbow was where, exactly when did the hand get on the ground, exactly when did the guns start going off, all these individual details that people still argue about. So when people have those types of arguments in absence of concrete evidence, because I do not consider eyewitness testimony to be concrete, but I do consider video footage to be pretty concrete. We have a little bit of video footage of the Karmello Anthony case, but not enough that gives us that type of clarity where we can go frame by frame and judge every individual split-second decision by every person involved. Because we have that, I don't have the burden of proof that I like to have to speak confidently on this show, which means I cannot allow myself to speak confidently about Karmello Anthony, because the fact of the matter is that I am not as confident about what happened there as I am in a case like Alex Preddy, where there's multiple camera angles from different places, completely different directions. That to me just makes it very difficult to talk about. And you are upset that I'm allowing there to be this agnosticism. It's unpopular on the left for me to have this position. I get hate from it from my own followers. I can look at a case like the Zimmerman case with Trayvon Martin and say the same thing. I'm devastated that we don't have footage that shows us exactly what happened so we can judge exactly who was behaving potentially irresponsibly, which is, I think, maybe what had happened in the case of Kyle Rittenhouse and Karmello Anthony. But I just don't know because I don't trust eyewitness testimony that much, and it's really hard to say exactly what happened. Why are you trying to force me into knowing what happened when I just don't have footage of it? And sitting here right now, the only concrete source of evidence I have is you, and you misquoted me yesterday.
Okay, a few things to that. Of course, very clear video evidence would be ideal. And of course, not every case is going to have that. A few things to what you were saying. First of all, a lot of questions come up with Karmello Anthony. Why did he even have a knife with him? Pocket knife, whatever you want. It was a knife.
I had that same question. Somebody's offered me a really good answer to it. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah, that's one of my questions. It's not the only question.
Can we answer it? I had the same concern. I thought it was really irresponsible for him to bring a knife to school.
Are you going to say it's because of the cleats?
Yeah, it's a tool that they used for his sports. It wasn't like a big Bowie knife.
They don't use
like,
knives for cleats.
It was a tool. It was a cleat tool that happened to have a knife on it.
Knife.
Here's an example. I have a carabiner that has a knife hidden in it, and I often have a water bottle that I clip to my belt, and I have often I've on multiple occasions almost left the house not realizing I was going somewhere where knives aren't allowed, like a show or something, and I need to get rid of this carabiner because it has a knife on it, because the security doesn't care that I'm using it as a carabiner. They care that there's a knife on it, and that's what's happening in this conversation. I can forgive him for not thinking about it like a knife when he put it in his pocket or his bag that day, in the same way that I can forgive myself for thinking of my carabiner as a carabiner, even though it's obviously a knife. It obviously meets the definition of knife because it is a fucking knife. I just don't generally use it that way. I have other opinions about the fact that he drew it. I think that was irresponsible for a 17-year-old to do in a scrap. That's my general impression. But again, I'm a real agnostic about whether even that's the case, because I just didn't see the altercation happen. I can imagine footage that's consistent with the eyewitness testimony, where watching the footage, I think, ooh, you shouldn't have drawn that knife. Or I could watch the footage and think, wow, I think you should have drawn that knife. This was a time where you really needed to defend yourself from grievous danger. I just haven't seen evidence that makes me confident of either, and I think it's disingenuous for you to not recognize the possibility that he absent-mindedly brought the knife to school, even though generally bringing knives to school is bad, because I myself have absent-mindedly brought a knife somewhere I wasn't supposed to and had to check it in code check.
Two things to that. One, I'm going to hold you to the standard of the video evidence. Okay? So we're going to pin that there. Second of all, just to be charitable, let's say that he forgot that on this tool there was a knife. I'm assuming, taking it again charitably, that this pocket knife had the tool for the cleats. Okay? There's absolutely no reason at all he needed to take the knife out and stab this kid in the heart. Zero. Did I not address that very clearly like 30 seconds ago? Well, you said if there was clear video evidence, there are some scenarios in which you could say, yeah, it was justifiable that he took the knife out of his bag.
I'm telling you the truth, which is that I have not seen enough evidence to be sure one way or another whether or not it was appropriate for him to bring the knife out, which is why I'm just not really, I just can't, I just try to run my show with honesty, and I have a lot of things that I have really staunch positions on because there exists such concrete evidence that I have to have that position, and that's just not I wish that was the case in the Karmello Anthony case, but unfortunately there's always going to be like edge cases where it's just not clear, but it's important because somebody maybe should go to prison for a long time, so we have to figure it out, and that's what the courts are for, and sometimes I have to trust the legal system for that, and that's shitty, that's unpopular on the left. I will also say for everybody watching, I think it is fucking clear that white people are more likely to get away with defenses than black people, and this is an example of that. This is another data point in that broad trend that I'm very concerned about, that I'm very upset about. But again, it's a single data point, and it's hairy. It's a lot.
Okay, so like I said, the standard of evidence, which is for you to have this concrete opinion about the Karmello Anthony case, you need to see clear video evidence, but we don't have that.
That's not what I said. I said that no, you're mixing up necessary and sufficient.
You said you're remaining agnostic to calling him a murderer.
I'm just being careful because you're such a technical gishgalloper. You're going to hold me to these things, and you do that. You try to twist my words.
That's what you said.
I said that it would be sufficient. I didn't say it was necessary. Do you understand what the difference is?
Okay, so for you to sufficiently
that was a
have
question. Do you know what the difference between necessary and sufficient is? Because I said that video footage that's very clear would
Now
be
you're being
sufficient,
very
but not
disingenuous.
necessary. I want to make sure you understand what I just said. Explain it to my audience.
So
What
when
did
is
I
it
just say?
necessary that you don't need video evidence? When it's an accusation against Trump? That's the only
No,
time
this is definitional. So really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no video evidence with E. Jean Carroll, yet you believe that.
You're gishgalloping because I brought
I'm
up the
not
thing that you're running away from.
Your standard of
Necessary and
evidence is
sufficient.
shifting.
Necessary and sufficient.
Your standard of evidence is shifting.
I want to solidify my standard of evidence and make sure that you understand the difference between necessary and sufficient. What is the difference between necessary and sufficient evidence?
Bro, I'm
You
not
said you
doing this
understood.
semantic
Oh,
gimmick,
we
dude.
got him. We
I'm
got
not
our
doing-
C.
You
He
didn't
pretended
get
to
me
know a
anywhere.
thing that he
You're
doesn't.
being bad
Explain
faith.
it. Explain the difference between
No,
necessary
you're
and
being bad
sufficient
faith.
evidence.
When
We got
Trump's
him.
accused of something without video evidence, then you believe
Necessary and sufficient. You said you understood the difference. Do you want to admit that you don't?
it. You
and I
want
can
to
explain
defend
it?
women and black people. I get it.
Yep,
You're
you're gonna run all over the place and
This
bring up a bunch
kid's
of
a
offensive
literal
buzzwords. You're
murderer,
trying
and
to
you're
offend
sitting
me.
there
You're
saying,
doing the
like,
thing
well,
I
I
said
don't
you
have
do
video
earlier, where
evidence.
instead of you're trying to get away from the question about necessary and sufficient by bringing up
Cooked.
things that are offensive and are gonna push buttons with me, but it ain't gonna work, buddy. We're talking about necessary and sufficient.
Cooked,
Explain
bro.
that you know the difference. Explain that you know the difference.
Cooked. The funny thing is, you're the evil one.
Explain that you know the difference between necessary and sufficient footage. Even if
This
I have
is
to
why
spend,
I
I'm ending a
support
little early
Austin's
today.
father.
We have 16 minutes remaining. You're going to talk about my dead dad because you're so afraid
I
of
said
answering
Austin
about.
Metcalf's father, not your
Okay,
father.
I misheard you. I'll take that one back. I'm sorry. We got 15 minutes before I need to go because I'm going to the rally for the Minnesota 15. So I'm going to end early and potentially do a second part for today's episode. Those watching the VOD later know. If you're watching live, just look for the red circle this afternoon. I don't know when I'll be back. Anyway, I'm happy spending 14 of those 15 minutes demanding that you explain the difference between necessary and sufficient evidence, and then kicking you after 14 because I need to end the show, explaining to the audience what the difference between necessary and sufficient evidence is as it pertains to this conversation, and then moving on with my day. Or you can be the person that you claimed to be a moment ago, which is somebody who knows the difference between necessary and sufficient evidence. In this case, clear video evidence of Karmello Anthony, which we don't have in that case. You're going to explain what exactly the difference between necessary and sufficient is, or we're going to talk about. I'm going to demand it for another 12 minutes or whatever it is. Go, try.
Okay, I can give it my best go. I'm not a lawyer. I think sufficient that it's like guaranteeing a result. And necessary is that something needs to be present for something to happen, but it doesn't guarantee the result. Something like that.
Yes, you're on the right track. Specifically for the video footage in the Karmello Anthony case, what I was saying earlier is that it would be sufficient. If we had that video footage, that would be enough. Sufficient means enough. It would be enough for me to say that he's guilty if the video footage did, show what we think, what you're telling of the events. That is what happened. But then you moved on to say that I needed video footage in order to convict him, which I don't. I can imagine other different sufficient evidence that isn't video footage, and if we had that would also
like
be
what?
Let's see. Text messages between him and his friends saying, like right after saying that he, like, if he himself had something of a confession in a text message to a friend, that would be concrete evidence for me that isn't video footage. That would also be sufficient. We also don't have that.
So what was the sufficient evidence in the E. Jean Carroll case for you to say that Trump's guilty of rape?
The enormous amount of cross-corroborating evidence, because one of the things that makes eyewitness testimony more valuable to me is that if people in different times, places, and spaces corroborate each other's story, that's very difficult to achieve because eyewitness testimony is unreliable. So if a bunch of stories from people in different times, places, and spaces, that's an important section of what I'm saying, don't forget that, agree about what happened. So when we have a bunch of people at a track meet who agree about what happened or tell a consistent story, they might have been in earshot with each other moments after the incident or when they were being interviewed by police, and that sows some doubt for me. Whereas with E. Jean Carroll, we saw that everybody agrees that her telling of the event was accurate back then. We have therapist notes, which is more concrete evidence about what she said in therapy at the time. It demonstrates that all of these claims about her story being inconsistent from the defense are wrong. It sows further doubt on the defense from Donald Trump that his story is inconsistent with the incredible amount of consistency we see in the eyewitness testimony from the prosecution. So that to me makes it very different.
It's quite the
not as
double
concrete
standard.
it's not as concrete as video. That'd be better.
What do you think is more concrete? Corroborating eyewitness testimony apparently that happened over 20 years ago, or something that happened weeks before and that everyone there saw the same thing, heard the same thing, and it's consistent testimony? What do you think is more concrete?
Well, because we have evidence of people's corroboration of her story from the 90s, the two aren't actually different.
No, they're very different. And why is one less strong than the other?
I will also like to point out that
I would say something that happened.
Wait, hold on. I would like to point
recently.
out, I think we missed something here. Just the eyewitness testimony and that cross corroboration that I'm talking about would not on its own be sufficient to find Trump guilty in the E. Jean Carroll case. There is additional data on top of that. His defense was so bad. He was so inconsistent in his defense. And there are certain things that he refused to do in order to defend himself that lead further for me to believe that he's guilty. So there's a big pile of stuff that adds up to sufficient evidence for me in the Trump and E. Jean Carroll case that at this moment, sitting here today, I don't have in the Karmello Anthony case. The chat's lighting up about the fact that Trump refused to supply his DNA. That is something that I consider heavily.
Well, I don't know why his lawyer told him to do that. Again, I'm not a lawyer.
I don't think his lawyer told him to do that. I think I know. I'm speculating. I think I know why Trump didn't want to supply that DNA.
It's silly to supply that DNA. Just because your DNA is on clothes doesn't mean that you raped someone.
See, now you're doing the thing where you're calmly moving on to another topic, which suggests to me that you don't like how defeated you are and what we were just talking about. So you're just going to quietly move on without conceding. Do you recognize I'm making sense?
We're talking about the same subject.
Do you recognize that I'm making sense about how I interpret evidence?
No, not at all. I don't think you're consistent whatsoever.
Then what's the problem you have with anything that I just said? You've got about 5 minutes before I need to thank the donors and get out of here because I'm ending the show early today.
Okay, capitalist.
Got to pay my bills.
You really like to line your pockets with money, Mr. Socialist.
Well, that's actually not the case. I got my needs met about a month ago, which is great. And then I've spent some of the extra overhead that the show has to hire more people to make the show better. If I was just trying to grift, I'd probably be doing what every other streamer is doing and running the show by myself for as long as possible. But that's not what I'm interested in. I also, if I was interested in solely grifting,
you're even more of a capitalist than I thought.
If I was grifting, I probably wouldn't have told my audience that my needs were being met. I would pretend that my needs weren't being met and that I was still underwater so that people would continue to donate more. But instead, I'm being transparent and open about what the money is being spent on because I think that's better for the type of work that I'm doing.
I support you being a capitalist. Capitalism is actually great.
Ignored everything I said and went back to the thing I was responding to, which is you accusing me of being a grifty capitalist.
And you have an employee.
2 employees.
Yep, super capitalist. Wow, you're a slave owner, basically. That's crazy. How many
times are you going to do it? The same thing where instead of actually addressing what I said, you just say something offensive.
Their labor.
You're trying to hurt my feelings by using things that I care about as insults against me, even though I have good explanations for all of this. It just doesn't work on me, dude.
Using socialist language. You're exploiting their labor.
You're using social skills to weaponize my own feelings against me, and it's not going to work on me because I do facts instead of feelings on this show.
Do they have percent ownership in your laptop? Do they have percent ownership in your headphones? Do they have percent ownership in your microphone in your studio?
I'm sorry. Are you going to address anything that I'm saying to you?
You're not a very good socialist. You're not a good socialist. You are a good capitalist, though. Have a good day. This is too easy. Goodbye.
God, he didn't even use his whole time. He ran. Incredible. W in the chat for Jesse for being live producer. I did see all your suggestions throughout the show. I did not choose to answer all of them, but I so appreciate them being there because it's very hard for me to get what needs to be at my attention on the screen. And one of the things that Jessie is doing is she sits over there. She's got an identical monitor to this one and a keyboard and mouse. So she's actually capable of controlling the screen. So if something important pops up on the Discord, she can make sure that I notice. So W's in the chat for Jessie and W's in the chat for Raven, who's the other employee who is not here physically, but is here digitally timestamping the episode right now. So go ahead and throw in a timestamp for glazing Raven at 11:22 for doing such an excellent job on those descriptions and making sure that the VODs get up on time and all that stuff. And I'm going to thank the donors and get out of here. But I will announce as everybody leaves, I am probably coming back today. Shorter show because there's a rally for us to get to in downtown Minneapolis for the 15 ICE observers, constitutionally protected observers who were arrested by the FBI. I consider this a weaponization of the Justice Department against protesters. So I'm going to go do some on the ground meet and greet and reporting on that. It maybe depends. I don't know exactly what type of show it's going to be, but I am going to be there physically. So you'll probably keep up with that if you follow me on Instagram and stuff. And you can follow me in all the places by going to the link tree in my bio and keeping up with what's going on. But I should read the donors because more are coming in as we wrap up here. Tammy sent me that. Hold on. Oh my goodness. Anthony sent me $5 on Venmo to say beer money fund. Love the stream. Appreciate you, Anthony. I'll be thinking of you when I have my next brew. Appreciate the $5. Emily sent me $25 to say have a great day, Oscar. I will. Thank you very much for the $25. That's going to go towards those bills that RC is so mad that this show helps me pay. Evan, paid me $5 on Venmo to say, hey, Oscar, me and my best friend just made an album called Axis of Evil by Sins of September, our duo, and it's a heavily politically based, but I think you would really like it, and it would mean a lot if you took a listen to it honestly. Keep doing the good work. All love. By the way, I so support people using the donations to advertise their stuff. If you want to shill your band by sending me a donation, I'm about it. And RC probably hates that sort of capitalism. Advertise your work. I'll talk about it. And Jesse, producer, can write down for me that the band is called Sins of September, and I will check them out, because now that I get a physical to-do list written that I don't have to write, which is why I will be scribbling less during the show. Candace sent me $10 on Venmo to say, watch for the first time today. Love it. Keep it up. Love you, Candace. Appreciate you very much. Do I have any Cash Apps? Let's double check that. I do. Let's see who sent that. Oh, a couple. We got Michael, who sent me, RC is a bigger bitch than David. Agreed, actually, because I pointed out that Kenzie's not a bitch, because I consider bitch an equal opportunity insult. We're starting a meme that David is a bitch, mostly just because David doesn't like being called a bitch. So if David calls into your talk show, call him a bitch. He'll hate it. But yeah, RC's a total bitch. Kenzie's not a bitch. Kenzie's a psychopath. RC's also a psychopath, but he's also a bitch. There's a Venn diagram here. Araxis sent me $2 to say, for Trump's diplomatic policy is thuggish by definition. I agree. The definition of thug I gave also applies to Trump. What he does is thuggish. He leverages his power in a thuggish way. Sean sent me $5 on Venmo to add, check out my band Bad Creature. Bad Creature. Can we get Bad Creature on the list? Now we're gonna get all the band. Now we're gonna get all the band plugs. Try to spread them out, people. They'll be worth more if you spread them out, because that guy got a less valuable plug for getting it in right after a different band plug. So do spread them out. That's my advice to you.
You left off it after Oscar to check out my band. Yeah.
Ooh. There we go. Pardon me. Sorry, I blew on the mic. I bet that was loud. Kronos for $2 on YouTube Super Chat said, I want a Jesse song sometimes. Yeah, we can do that. Let's get you plugged, Jesse.
Wait for it.
What?
I said, wait for it.
Oh, it's coming. Kronos also added, W Jesse on her song. You got a new fan. Everyone go check out House of Cards, Sensing Agony. The band is Sensing Agony, and House of Cards is a good song. I think I need to listen before every live. Sometimes I do listen to Sensing Agony before the show. I like to scream in the shower to warm up for the show, and sometimes it's Sensing Agony that I'm listening to. Jason sent me $2 to ask, I'm assuming RC, does your guest think Derek Chauvin is evil? I'm sure that RC has all sorts of problematic beliefs about Derek Chauvin. Kronos added another $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say, W Jessie on her first live helping in person. Hopefully I'm awake for part 2 if it happens. We'll see. It might happen this afternoon. And Hoofy sent me $10 on YouTube Super Chat to say, +1 for Oscar for pronunciation of corroboration, -1 for RC, Dean, and Parker for the same reason. Yes, that bugs me. That is a pet peeve of mine. Corroboration. Anyway, Navix says, will there be footage of the rally for €2 on YouTube Super Chat? Yes. Will it be mine? I don't know. Follow me on Instagram, because I will repost people who get footage. But when I show up to these things, I don't always know what my role is going to be in terms of being there. So I might get footage of it. I might not. I might live stream from it. We shall see. But I'm going to read. Stop sending me money so I can go to the rally, you motherfuckers. Will said, check out my band, fuck RC, and David is a bitch. Those are jokes. Those aren't real bands. Milksuck sent me $50 fucking on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much. She just says, great job today. I think that's a she. I think I know who that is. Thank you so much. That's fucking huge. W's in the chat for Milk Sucks. And Anacaniac? I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. He sent me $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say, damn, my work schedule's so hard to catch these lives. Keep grinding, Oscar. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it. All right, stop sending fucking people saying, okay, Will is saying check menu. Okay, that's all the donations for today. I'm pretty sure. Part 2 for today, if you're watching after the fact on YouTube, the video either ends now or there's another hour and a half or 2 hours of it. That'll be this afternoon. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you, everybody. Linktree in the bio, join the Discord, all that bullshit. I'll hopefully see you this afternoon back right here on TikTok. If not, 10 Central every day on TikTok Live and on YouTube. Goodbye, TikTok. And goodbye, YouTube. And I'm going to wait a little longer after I said it so it doesn't get cut off, because I know YouTube has been complaining about that lately. Well, isn't this interesting? I don't need to introduce the episode because this is the middle of an episode. I just went to a rally. It was pretty good. Turnout was good. Love the speeches. There were some pretty cool characters from the protest scene here. But for anybody who just doesn't know, of course, I was talking about the Minnesota 15, who are ICE observers who were arrested by the FBI after being investigated by the FBI for work they did during Metro Surge to protect the community. I've got lots of opinions about that, and I'm going to be making some content about it specifically soon, so I don't need to give it an entire ad read in the middle of this episode, just because trying to do better than just mention on my podcast. But that's why I've got staff now, so I can make more content about other stuff. Hopefully we can get right back into it, because we've got another hour and a half available today, and I do have producer Jesse just off screen over there running the ship for me. So it's interesting. I haven't streamed in the afternoon in quite a while, so it'll be interesting the sort of metrics we get. We are competing with Dean Withers at this particular hour. I think so. So we'll see how that goes. But see, it's weird. I feel like I'm in the middle of the stream, so I'm looking over like, oh no, I don't have any callers, but I only have 14 viewers on TikTok, so that kind of makes sense. I guess if you are watching on TikTok, I will be a little pushier than normal to get double tapping away on the screen so we don't have too long an intermission between, I guess what for you listening here on YouTube after the fact. Producer, are you being noisy over there?
Trying to log into your stream to double tap the screen. I forgot my volume.
Oh, wait, I have a producer task for you. Bring me the burner phone. It's still in the backpack. I need to get that second account on the screen. But yeah, if you are watching this on TikTok, get double tapping away on the screen because we're mid-episode and I want to get the views back up as soon as possible so we can get right back into it. But, man, I was kind of glad that RC ran and we had 5 minutes of chill at the end because I would never live down the fact that RC thought I ran by ending my episode instead of staying on the line with him. But we shall proceed and see if we get callers this evening. I am going to get my secondary account up on the screen, Oskar Quentin 2. I'm going to hit the request button on this other phone. There I am. Always have to be quick to mute myself because I cannot stand the sound of my own voice, which means I'm in the wrong line of work. Paradox of Tolerance is here. Yeah, we split the show this morning in half because there was a protest-related thing for me to go do here in Minneapolis. So I went to the rally for the Minnesota 15. But I'm back, so I'm hoping we get some fresh callers. That's what I'm excited about for doing a show in the afternoon. I do have some people to thank just sitting down here because in addition to Allison, John, and Jesse, who all became $5 Patreons over the last couple days, not during show hours, I got to thank those people. Patreon, linktree in the bio. I also have a regular donor. Michael, who sent me $1 on Cash App after the show ended this morning to say, use your talking points to dunk on a guy at work. So I guess he's paying me my what do you call it? Royalties on my argument. I demand royalties for my argument. We are going to talk to Gio Stefanoni. And we're going to see if Gio Stefanoni. Why does it keep disconnecting my backup account? What is going on with that? Hello, how old are you?
Hi, Oscar. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you very well. How old are you?
I'm 26.
26. Okay, do you support Trump?
I do not. I wanted to talk to you because, well, I saw that you didn't have any callers lined up. And if you do, talk to them because I'm not going to actually debate. I just have some legit questions.
Okay, I'll take some questions while we wait for a caller. What's up?
Well, first of all, I agree that Trump is a criminal, of course. But my question is, how are the checks and balances not working and they let him do whatever they want?
The Republicans...
I'm not that informed about U.S. politics.
Primarily, the big thing that I see as an issue right now is that the Republicans in Congress who would be responsible for impeaching him have shown that they just won't. Because at the end of the day, if you have a couple hundred people in Congress who are unwilling to impeach a president, even if he does obviously impeachable things, that's all it takes. Because if they can't get the votes to impeach him, they won't, and that's that. So he can break the law, he can violate his oath, he can violate the Constitution, which is a violation of his oath because his oath is to the Constitution. But we saw twice during his first term, or immediately after his first term, that he was impeached and not convicted because they had the votes in the House but not in the Senate, and that requires an enormous number of Republicans to just say, nope, I don't think he's breaking the law. Which is, that fundamentally is why the checks and balances aren't working. Congress is supposed to
just because he has majority in Congress?
Yep. Yep, those
really sucks.
Yeah, those politicians are supposed to be loyal to the Constitution, not any particular politician. But it's they're loyal to him instead, and that's the predicament that we're in.
Damn. And what can be done about that? Like voting in the primaries or the midterm?
So right now we have primaries for the midterm elections, and yeah, that's something I preach. It's real important that people turn out in the midterms because we have an opportunity to have a referendum on the check that is supposed to keep Trump in check. We can flip Congress blue, and the degree to which we would have to flip the Senate blue in order to convict him of an impeachment is a lot. So I don't actually think that's going to be the outcome. It's not very likely at all, unless a bunch of Republicans also dissent and vote to convict him in the impeachment, because we need a supermajority in the Senate to convict him. I don't think that that's terribly likely. It's possible. We could have some Republicans jump ship and flip. That happened with the Epstein Files, Transparency Act. So it's possible. But I think what's more important is that we take away Republican control of the legislative branch so that even if Trump stays in office for the second half of his term, he will be neutered by his inability to cooperate with Congress. That'll be controlled in a majority by Democrats who aren't going to vote for his policies.
Wow, that sounds like a really half-baked measure against him. Like, I don't think that's enough to stop him.
I think it's enough to slow him down, and I think that half-baked is, I think, like that, is that an insult against me? Are you saying that I haven't come up with a good enough plan?
Well,
I'm just saying that's what we can do.
Even if that's achieved, like, it seems like
I think that we should fight like hell to get enough turnout in the midterms so that it's possible for him to be convicted. Because I don't think what I specifically don't think is that it's not possible for us to get enough blue seats in the Senate to get the votes that are necessary in order to convict him of an impeachment. For anybody listening who doesn't know the impeachment rules, the House just needs a simple majority to vote for an impeachment, and then an impeachment is a trial in which he might be convicted. And if he gets convicted, then he gets removed from office, and that trial is run by the Senate. So we're in a situation where it's pretty clear that we're probably gonna win the House. I think that's I mean, the pollsters have it pretty 50-50, but I think that what he's doing is unpopular, and we're gonna flip some seats blue in the House, and we're gonna get an impeachment trial. But the outcome where the reason that he is convicted in the impeachment is because there's just enough Democrats to vote against him, that is not a practical outcome to hope for in the midterms. But what could happen is we win a few more seats in the Senate, and then the number of Republicans who need to betray Trump becomes small enough that they might fucking do it. Because every day he becomes more unpopular. Every day it becomes harder to defend him. And that's why we saw a handful of Republicans flip on the Epstein files and vote to release them, which is exactly what Trump didn't want them to do. He met with them and tried to get them to stop. He destroyed their political careers. Unfortunately, Thomas Massie, who went against him on the Epstein files, isn't going to be one of these votes for impeachment after the midterms because he got voted out in a special election because Trump turned on him because he betrayed Trump. So I think it's possible that we get a conviction as a result of the midterms because we get enough seats for the Democrats, and potentially I can see it's possible in the next 6 months that the tide turns on Trump enough that a small handful of Republican senators, 10 or so of them, 5 or 10 of them, which would represent 10 or 20% of the Republican senators, which is a lot, but we live in unprecedented times. And I think it's not entirely unreasonable to suggest that there's a handful of them that are on the edge and might work together to put a stop to this fucking nonsense. Chat's saying never. I don't know. Maybe I'm more hopeful than that. I think that we should grasp at every possibility to get out of this democratically, because the options that are not democratic are real bad. And I don't want to have to promote those sorts of solutions. I would much rather vote my way out of this. But there's a lot of disagreement among the left about whether or not we can vote our way out of this. But I think it would not be the full victory that we want. I think the full victory that we want of removing him is very unlikely, as I've been saying. But I do think it would be wildly valuable to have that impeachment trial that people would then have to watch. And I do think it would be very valuable for the Senate to no longer, or the Congress generally, both chambers of Congress, to not be completely controlled by the Republicans who are just going to vote for whatever Trump wants for the most part.
Well, okay. Well, thank you very much for the explanation, Oskar. I appreciate it. Just as a final thought, I mean, even if it's not objective, just your opinion, do you think he could actually go through with amending the Constitution so he runs for a third term?
Well, for the Congress is going to be split enough that I don't think that he's going to get the majorities needed for that, for the same reason the other way. So no, I think if he tries to run for a third term, he's going to try to do it through some sneaky means. I think the most practical way that he's going to try to have a third term as president is have J.D. Vance run and then have J.D. Vance step down day one.
Right.
with him as vice president, and then that would put him in the president's seat. That's one way that people have speculated that he was going to try to do it legally. People argue about whether or not that would even be legal. I'm not a constitutional lawyer. Yeah, it seems like a pretty dirty way to get around the rules. I agree. But yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, that's what Trump is doing. He's working very hard to get around the rules in every way possible, which we can look at individual cases and say, like, okay, like the whole point of a loophole is that it's not against the rules to use the loophole, even if you don't like it. But I do think that we have a problem when the president only uses loopholes, when the president only tries to get around the law, where he basically doesn't try to do anything that's actually all that legal for him to do, because he's run out of legal things to do. He's signed the executive orders he's allowed to sign. He's pushed for the policies in Congress that they're going to vote for. He's at a point where he's flailing. He's making executive orders about stuff that the Supreme Court are disagreeing with, because it's been a year since some of those orders came out, and now the Supreme Court has begun to rule on some of them. So I think it's very concerning the way that he's managing his approach to this, and I think it's obvious that he's trying to subvert the Constitution. If that was obvious to I would argue it is obvious to our Republicans in Congress. They just don't give a shit.
Right. Well, thank you for your time, Oskar. I hope you have a great day.
You too. Interesting call. Interesting educational call, maybe. It's is the chat arguing about whether or not I have a job? Is that what's going on? I guess it's a new set of trolls who we get in the afternoon, because this isn't normally my regular streaming block. But if you are one of the 200 people watching on TikTok, do get double tagged and away, because we're going to talk to Mike Hunt, 7121. I fell for that joke once. Never again, Mike Hunt. I do appreciate the joke, actually. No, the request was canceled. He just wanted me to say it. He was just trying to get me to say it, and it didn't work. Oh well. People are upset about the sign. Yeah, if you think that Trump is good for blue collar workers, that's nonsense, and you should hit the request button just above the backup account down here, and have a conversation with me about it. Because yeah, I think that's silly if you think he's good for you. Does he read the chat? Are you talking about me? I think I do. The answer generally is no. I mean, the chat's getting a little too busy. I generally don't read the chat much when I have a caller. Oh, is somebody big mad over my room? What about my room? Is that what somebody was saying? It looks expensive. My $80 M Audio Key Station 88 and my $50 Oxygen 49. Yeah, such expensive gear that I have. Most of the gear, other than that, was loaned to me, because I have friends who value my success as a musician. W friends. Luke Belmarlover. Luke I don't know. He can tell me how to say his name. How old are you?
Oh, yo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing all right. How old are you?
I'm 21.
21. Are you a Trump supporter?
No, I'm not.
Ooh, just looking for Trump supporters for now. Do you have something quick you want to say? I'll give you 10 seconds.
Yeah, so basically, by 2030, I'm pretty sure 40% of like all trades will be, of course, like retiring. And wouldn't that be beneficial? Because obviously I know MAGA wants to stop immigration and stuff. And obviously that'll create more demand for, already working U.S. citizens in the U.S. And on top of that, well, I'm not sure about the data centers if, liberals are also pushing for it, but it will also create another demand, because obviously it's like projected 2 million blue collar jobs are going to be like required, or I forgot what the number is for that, but I just have a question about that. Like, what's your stance on it?
Well, I mean, specifically, it's a little short-sighted. It's a little narrow to look at the economy and think that if we take the jobs that the illegal immigrants have and take them away from the illegal immigrants by deporting them, that suddenly those jobs are just going to be handed to Americans. There's a couple problems with this. One is that because we're removing a supply of labor without changing the demand for labor, the economics change. It's not like people are going to be getting the same paychecks. And to that point, there's going to be disorganization where the people who are willing and qualified to do that labor are suddenly no longer available, because the demographics of people in terms of the labor that they're skilled at or willing to do or geographically in the correct place to, all of that gets scrambled if we just throw throw all this labor away by deporting these people. So it's just not that simple. It creates disruption and instability in the labor force, and disruption and instability in the labor force for over the course of the number of years that it would take to correct for for this is going to be way more costly to the economy than any benefit of Americans having these jobs instead of illegal immigrants. We could actually just shortcut the entire thing by giving most of those illegal immigrants a path to citizenship so that it just becomes American working those jobs without anybody getting fired. And that also causes less suffering on Earth, which I'm also about.
Yeah, of course. And also because of that, construction's going to take longer, more money is going to be spent, companies will be losing more money. So it's like,
right. So the
homes that are being, for that.
Yep, the homes that are being built that will become more expensive if companies have a hard time finding labor to build them, and then that gets
especially
picked onto the
apartments.
consumer.
A ton of apartments being built.
A lot of 5-on-1 construction. For those who know the construction zoning classifications, 5-on-1 construction is really good for the housing crisis. For those who live in growing cities, those are those buildings where it's a concrete floor with a wooden set of like 3, 4, or 5 floors on top of it. It's a category 5 construction, which is flammables, on top of a category 1 construction, which is concrete, which is a little bit more floodproof and fireproof. It's a particular type of, they made some exceptions in a bunch of cities about how they zone it such that 5-on-1 construction can be built to that type of square footage without it being considered a fire hazard, because we've improved the sorts of materials that we build the category 5 part out of. I'm sure I got some of the specific details on that explanation wrong, but the point is that type of building that a lot of people call a gentrification building, because it's a little bittersweet when you see those buildings going up in your neighborhood, because it means your neighborhood's gentrifying, but it also means that your city is promoting affordable housing. So yeah, that sort of housing, you're right, is often worked on by low-level laborers. But it's the same thing with home expansion. A lot of subcontractors that work for the large companies that build these structures, including individual homes as well, are hiring people who aren't documented properly. So yeah, it's disruptive to that market, and I think that's one of the I know I'm kind of yapping here, but that's kind of what I do. But specifically, I'm very frustrated with the fact that the right will often look to some very simplistic explanation and say, oh, this will be good long term, but they don't actually weigh the cost of the disruption. It's a little bit like people saying that things are going to be better after the Iran war is over without weighing the cost of there being a year of higher gas prices and the effect that that has on global market stability and inflation domestically. Like those are major costs that they're just willing to ignore because Trump says it'll be better for some reason. I just think it's all very short-sighted. It indicates that people saying these things either don't understand the economy or do understand the economy and are lying through their teeth.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, is that all you were looking for?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, I was just wondering what your thoughts on it, because I don't know, you seem like a pretty smart guy.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I mean, it's not so much about me being smart. It's just that I did take some economics classes in college. So I know that when somebody says that if we take 10 million people out of the labor force and say that that's going to be good because we want different people from them to have their jobs, I can just quickly look at that and be like, that's oversimplified. That is not 1 + 1 = 2. That's 1 + 1 + 7 mystery terms. Trust me, they add up to 0. We still get to 2. And I go, I don't know about that. That seems like a dangerous assumption to make.
All right. Have a good one, man.
You have a good one as well. W in the chat for the guests just being curious people who want to be educated. Lots of people in the chat who are like upset about my JJ. See, here's the thing. We don't have a caller, JJ. Oh, no, JJ gets a chance because I was going to mute him for causing a ruckus in the chat, but we do have a caller. So I was going to mute you to encourage you to call in, JJ, because I'd love to talk about my flag. Actually, that might be what's going to happen because the caller left the queue. Maybe they didn't mean to join. JJ, if you want to talk about Somalia, you're going to have to do it with your voice because I am going to mute your account for the day. You can come back and try again tomorrow. You're perfectly welcome to be dissident in the chat while I do have a caller, but if I don't, you're going to get muted and told to call in and tell me about that. I have opinions about living in Somalia. They have a really low HDI. We were just talking about that this morning. I think that my position on Somalia might be more reasonable than you'd expect, but we're not going to find out unless you call in. Also, it is a Minnesota flag. I mean, I know it's a similar color and you guys struggle with, going past the surface level, which is, it's funny. That's what we were just talking about with the previous caller, is that if you only go by the surface level, sometimes some of these things can kind of make sense. But saying that that's a Somali flag demonstrates that you don't know how to tell two different shapes apart, or tell how many points a star has, Makes me wonder how you would do if you were trying to play that game that the kids play in the preschool where they fit the round pegs into the round hole and the square peg into the square hole. I don't know. Call in if you want to talk about it, but he doesn't seem to want to. Is that it? Are there not Trump supporters in the afternoon, or are they all trying to bother Dean because he's live? Christopher Robin says that JJ is punching air right now. I agree. Probably is. We're going to talk to Jade. I'm going to see what Jade has to say. Maybe it's friendly for part 2 of today's stream. Jade, tell me how old you are. Oh, I was hoping she'd connect by the time I said it. Still waiting. Hello, how old are you?
I'm 25.
Hello, are you a Trump supporter?
I am not.
Do you have a question?
I saw your. Yeah, I had a quick thing to say about blue collar shouldn't be MAGA. I am a 25-year-old member of the LGBT, and I feel like me being a part of the LGBT has actually made working with MAGA men change their minds. Whatever work that I can do, just normal work or like working with men to change their minds, it has completely changed how they think now that I'm with them. So I didn't know if that was a good talking point for you, but I wanted to mention that because seeing blue collar shouldn't be MAGA. I feel like it definitely should not be, but I feel like a lot of people, if you ever have the experience of feeling like you would want to, I feel like that is changing the mind of the blue collar. It's normally men. I'm the only woman, and I've been doing this for 3 years now.
Well, so are you saying
and
that
it definitely changes?
Yeah, so I'll respond to that quick before I move on to the next caller because I do have somebody else in the queue. So thanks for bringing that up. I think that this is something that I kind of allude to a lot on the show, which is that exposure is very good. How do you make people not grow up to be racist, especially if their parents are racist? Send them to a school with kids who look different than them. That solves the xenophobia, and it makes it very hard for them to believe their parents when their parents say negative things about those groups. And it's the same thing with other groups. I grew up in an environment. I grew up in going to school in the West Village of New York, which is the gay neighborhood in Manhattan, and it made me hyper exposed to that in a way where it just felt very normal that some men have wives and some men have husbands. That didn't feel unusual or important to me or anything like that. So I agree completely that exposure is important, and I appreciate you doing the work because it's maybe oftentimes being a member of the LGBTQIA plus community is something that you can hide about yourself. Not always, but sometimes it is. And it sometimes is a lot easier to do that than face conflict in the workplace and that sort of thing. So if you're out there doing the work, if you're out there making yourself known to your coworkers who maybe don't appreciate who you are, maybe changing some minds, by withering away their concerns about people like you by being a cool friend and a good coworker, props to you. Appreciate you. We're going to talk to IG Petrie. Peatray. Maybe we'll get a debate. How old are you?
I'm 28.
28. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, I am. I'm a Trump ICE supporter, however you want to phrase it.
I mean, those are two generally overlapping things. What do you want to talk about?
Your background, I'm assuming, I can safely assume you're not for ICE, correct?
Not a fan.
Got it. And just in your opinion, what do you think the punishment should be if you cross the border illegally?
Yeah, I don't think that we should automatically deport people for doing that. My mass amnesty solution kind of gets at that, but because I do want there to be punishment for crossing the border, the issue I have is that the system is so broken that a lot of people have crossed the border. I think we need to address that there's like 12 million people who don't belong here according to the current policies. I think we need to address that and then fix the system to make the system easier to obey. And then from that, that's a context in which I'd be much more comfortable saying that deportation is a reasonable solution for somebody who's crossed the border illegally if they were participating in a system that I thought was both ethical and good for America. I think the current system is not ethical or good for America, which is why I don't think it's reasonable to deport these people.
So if somebody crosses the border illegally today, you would not deport them?
Me personally?
Yes.
I bet there are people who cross the border illegally today, and they would be included in that little description of my policies that I just gave. So I guess, yeah, the answer is no. I wouldn't want them deported. I still want them to stop. Like, I don't want there to be illegal immigration. I just have a very different set of solutions.
If you don't deport them, what's going to make them stop crossing illegally?
Fixing the system so that they're able to participate in the system instead of immigrating illegally.
In your system, can somebody cross the border illegally?
No, in my system, illegal things are still illegal.
In your system, can you cross the border illegally and be deported? Does that exist?
Mm-hmm. In my perfect world, yeah.
Okay, and in which case is it considered illegal to cross the border illegally?
I mean, if you if you cross the Rio Grande, not at a point of entry without proper documentation, that would be an illegal entry. It's not really a very different definition. I think you're failing to recognize how different the state of affairs with illegal immigration would be if we were living in my perfect world.
But it's very simple. If somebody crosses illegally, not through a port of entry today, in your perfect world, whatever, we would both agree that person should be deported, correct?
If we speed, should we take your car away forever?
If I speed, should we take... No, you get a ticket. That's the punishment.
Okay, those are both misdemeanors. Should you just get a ticket for entering illegally?
Well, it can be a felony if you speed too much.
It can
just
be a
like
felony.
If you cross the border twice, it's a felony.
Yeah, I was about to say it can be a felony if you do it twice, but we're not talking about somebody doing it twice. We're talking about somebody doing it once. I don't think that you're this tough on other crimes is what I'm pointing out.
Well, I think crossing a border illegally is more of it's a bigger crime than going 5 miles over the speed limit.
Who stands to die potentially if somebody crosses the border illegally versus if somebody speeds? Speeding is very dangerous. Speeding causes way more deaths than illegal immigration. What are you talking about? That's nonsense. Do you care about safety?
Yes, I care about safety, and I consider it as similar as having somebody come into my property without permission. They're undocumented.
Are
you don't go into somebody's house.
Oh, whoa, well, hold on. So, but wait, I'm a citizen. Am I allowed to come into your property without permission?
No, because it's my property, and just like you're not allowed to go to Mexico without permission.
Right, so then what difference does it make if it's an illegal immigrant or a citizen coming to your property without permission? I think you're tying two things together that aren't related. You're mixing up illegal entry into a country versus illegal entry into private property from public property, which I think are two fundamentally different things. Your house is your country, it's your house.
They're both borders. That's why it's synonymous.
No, but you have complete sovereignty over your own private domicile. That's not how countries work.
In countries, in a country, the people that run that country, like immigration officers, have the right to approve and not allow people to enter the country. I recognize
that in the current system, deportation is the consequence for the people who have entered illegally or overstayed their welcome by not, renewing their visas or whatever they were supposed to do. I am saying that for all these things that the right says will be accomplished by deporting these people, I don't think any of those things will be accomplished by deporting the people. I think it'll cause a massive amount of economic strife. It'll cause a massive amount of human suffering. I'm kind of not about economic strife and human suffering personally, so I've got some ideas that cause less of those things.
So you think that having illegal immigrants is a net positive, not a net negative?
Oh, it's very clear, yeah, that that's the case from just about every measure.
You don't think, like in states in California, they're giving illegal immigrants Medicaid?
I think that there are a couple of states where there's certain social programs that are available, but across the board, the average situation for an illegal immigrant is that they pay way more into the system than they receive. So even if you can point to an individual for whom that's not true, if we're going to look at the cohort of illegal immigrants totally, these 12 million people, yeah, they pay way more in taxes than we spend on them.
See, I'm all for legal immigration and vetting through immigrants to make sure they culturalize, get with American values.
Yeah, you're just moving, so do you recognize that what I just said is true, and now we're going to move on to cultural assimilation? Or
I'm going to tell you, I'll tell you why I don't think it's a net positive. Because national security, you can't put a price on that.
Okay, why are they a threat to national security? They commit far fewer crimes than the average citizen.
Because when you're not aware of who's entering the country, it's a national security threat.
Okay, we don't vet people who are born, right? Like, I was born here. Like, I could be a crazy person. I could want to go commit some horrible crime. What are we doing about all of these unvetted citizens who are being born? Like, what's the difference?
I agree with you that birthright citizenship should not be a thing. I agree with you. I'm going to hold firm to my beliefs.
That's not what I fucking said, and you know it, you disingenuous fuck.
You brought up people that are born here. And you're calling me a disingenuous fuck. You little snarky, skinny bitch, dude.
You know you're being disingenuous. You know that's not what I meant. Don't be silly, man. We're all adults here.
You couldn't even tell me that deportation is what the crime should be if somebody crosses illegally. You had to give me a 4-sentence answer when I asked you what should be the punishment if you cross the border illegally.
Cortisol levels down so that you use your words correctly, because deportation isn't the crime, it's the punishment. Use your words right. This is a talk show.
I'm telling you, deportation should be the punishment if you cross the border illegally.
Yeah, and I explained pretty eloquently, I think, why I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's reasonable.
Because in your fairy tale world, it doesn't exist.
Oh, I got a harassment and bullying flag. I'll take it on the chin. Oh, no, I have to remove you. You got a harassment and bullying flag. Get the fuck out of here. It's in the YouTube live, buddy. You can go back to the VOD and see on the screen where TikTok told me you had to go. Everybody's watching. We're going to talk to Abraham Goldsmith after I remind everybody that if you enjoy the Oskar Quentin Show, you can support it in a number of free ways. You can support me by following the backup account down here, Oskar Quentin 2. That is the account from which the show will be hosted should this account be taken down for a ban, like I just got a warning for having that guy up because he did some harassment and bullying that the TikTok automod system didn't like. You can also follow me for free on the other platforms, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Or if you're watching this on YouTube right now, you can also get over on TikTok. Follow me here. Those are all in the link tree, as is the link to join the Discord. So go convince the mods on there that you aren't going to wreak havoc and they'll let you in. If you do have a dime that you want to spare on the show, you can send it to my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon, so I can pay my bills, so I can pay Jesse, who's sitting over there running the show for me, so that I can pay attention to the callers instead of all this crazy shit that's on the screen while I'm live streaming, or Raven, who does the timestamps every day and is also the editor. So, yeah, there's some people to pay, and if you guys want to help out with that, I should check the Venmo, see if people have been doing that. No. Do I have any on YouTube? Fan funding? Maybe. No, I don't. Oh, I have gifts, though. So thanks, Dale, for the gifts. Thank Canadian Vicky and Dale for the gifts. I appreciate that. Anyway, we're going to hop back into debates because I do have somebody in the queue. Oh, Abraham Goldsmith, get back here. Where did you go? Your name just disappeared. Come on. Come back. Come on. All right. What is Amber saying? The mods invited me to wreak havoc. Do we need to check on Amber in the Discord? Is she going to be trouble? Let's see. 276 people watching on TikTok and 100 on YouTube. Pretty good for an out of schedule stream. So if you guys want to get double tapping away on the screen on TikTok, that might get some fresh callers in here. I feel like we are having a different flavored show than we normally have because it's a different crowd on here. Milk Sucks wants me to talk about the rally. The rally was nice. We saw some speeches from actually one of the people who were indicted by the FBI a couple weeks ago spoke, and that was pretty cool to see. Yeah, a lot. There was actually pretty good room insights for people in the public to go in and see. Everybody pled not guilty. That's the story that came out. There was some concerns about the prosecution withholding evidence from the defense, which is shitty. Some people. Wait, hold on. Is somebody trying to set me up on a date? Is that what's happening on the where? I gotta scroll up on the YouTube chat. Somebody's trying to set me up on a date. I don't know if I date the people in the chat. The people in the chat kind of mean to me.
Yeah, it was like someone. My friend has a crush on.
Oh, somebody's friend has a crush on me? Okay, well, Abraham Goldsmith, we'll get to you after we read Elusive Viper's $10 YouTube Super Chat. Thank you, Elusive Viper. Deportation isn't the punishment to illegal crossing. It's our current method to resolve a lack of legal status. Pathway to citizenship is a perfectly viable alternative. I agree. I don't think that guy was interested in hearing it, so he resorted to bullying. I think he didn't like that I noticed that he breezed past something that he was clearly outclassed at discussing when discussing it with me. Oh well, Abraham Goldsmith, why is he so quick at canceling his request? He cancels his request the moment Daniel says that Oskar just got cooked. Daniel, get up here and explain why. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You're going to get muted in the chat to encourage you to get up here because we don't have a caller. Don't have to do this so much in the morning. In the morning, I've stopped muting the chat because I just get callers all the time. But when I don't have a caller, that's kind of the rule here. I just go find somebody who's having a hard time in the chat, getting all upset. And I say, oh my God, you're so upset about all these things I'm saying. Come work it out with me. Come show everybody how wrong I am. Come cook me. Is Hazza HQ going to cook me? Hazza HQ. We shall see. How old are you? Okay, I guess not. Troncat says, what's the flag? Genuinely interested. This is a Minnesota state flag that somebody wrote fuck ice on and then gave it to me as a gift. This is the Minnesota Rebel Loon flag with some pride colors because I bought it at the Pride Festival the other day here in Minneapolis. So two local symbols that I really, really appreciate and I really like representing. I actually like that I get to talk about these flags and symbols because they're symbols that are meaningful to me, and I get to share them with a wider audience by having them in the background on my show. Colin sent me $25 on Venmo to say, sign change request, MAGA are monsters or morons, usually both. That was a sign last week. I have that one in the sign folder over there. Hey, baby, $25. It's the above the manila thing. Just bring me the whole folder. That'll be a good prop for everyone to see. Yep, just that one. Let's see. MAGA are monsters. I feel like I had that one. Do you guys want to buy signs? That one's my favorite. Oh, here it is. I do have that one. And the one that's currently up is like, you know, not quite so awesome with the handwriting because I'm not the one who wrote it. I misspelled the first one, which is why you wrote the new one. So don't act as though that's not subtly a compliment because I forgot how to spell this morning. I can change the sign for $25. Appreciate you, Colin. W's in the chat for Colin. Colin. Yeah, maybe I should do more like cheeky random afternoon streams just to let people know that I can be live this time because I'm not getting callers, and I much prefer to get callers. That's much more fun. And I know I can see that the Discord wants me to talk about the Democratic Socialist movement, but I actually want that to be during the main show that gets better viewership. Like I value that too much. I don't want it to detract from getting the viewership built at the beginning of the show. I want that to be like start in the middle of the normal 10 to 12 Central Time block. We're gonna talk to Rox.6000. Rock's like plural of rock. No, we're not. He left right away. Maybe he didn't mean to join. My goodness. I'm getting so lonely. Okay, the Discord is pushing for a talk about democratic socialism, but no, there's not enough people watching. And yeah, I'm a democratic socialist by American political identity. Not technically by philosophical identity because they are frustratingly different. But no, if we're gonna have like a more of a round table, I wanna build up the viewership to like 1,000 concurrent talking to some monster, and then we can start that, and then it'll dwindle a little bit because people don't actually like the serious conversation as much. So allow me to exercise my authority as captain of the ship and say no, it'll be better for democratic socialism if we let that take more of a main stage for the show in the morning, because we're kind of just doing a cheeky afternoon stream today because I had to cut the show a little short early this morning to get to the rally. Daniel sent me $20 on Venmo to just send me 4 heart eyes emojis. Is Daniel who I'm going on a date with, or is it Daniel's friend? Danielle. I don't know why I said that. Danielle knows this about me because I've read her donations before. It's a brain fart I have been doing for 20 years, is that I always say Daniel when I read Danielle. I'm sorry, Danielle. Anyway, my bad. Maybe she doesn't want to go on a date with me anymore. Rox6000 is back. Hopefully this time we'll have an interesting debate. How old are you?
I'm 18.
18. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, quite frankly, I would say that he shares a lot of the neo-libertarian phalangist values, you know? He shares a lot.
Yeah, so that guy's blocked, and the reason he's blocked is because libertarian phalangist is a nonsensical set of words that don't go with each other. It's like a meme. He's a troll. Phalangism is this interesting little historical chapter from Spain in the 30s that's really deeply incompatible with neo-libertarian beliefs, which I also don't hold. So it's not a serious position. I always had to be very clear when I kick that guy and ban his new account, because it's not that I'm just that dismissive of that particular ideology. There are some pretty nonsensical ideologies that come to this show that I'm not that dismissive of. It is just made up. It's just not actually real. He's fucking around. It's not a defensible. If you ask him to explain what it is, he'll just start word salading about nothing, which I know often seems the case with the people who do have more serious ideologies that I also think are silly, but they're just not trolling. They actually are convinced of that. And no, that guy's not. There's no such thing as a neo-libertarian phalangist. It is a joke. Yeah, Canadian Vicky is pointing out over on YouTube Super Chat that the neo-lib thing is so dumb and a waste of time. Well, the trolls generally are, you know, like maybe that's what they're after, just wasting a little bit of airtime so that somebody like me is less likely to get a good debate. Oh no, the trolls are after me. I consider it a badge of honor that the trolls are so after me. I make them very, very, very upset. I make them very, very mad. But none of them are here. They're all going to bother. Let's see who's live. Do I have a burner account I can check with? I do. Hold on. Who's live? What?
Who did you want to check on? Dean's live, yeah.
Dean's live. Is Parker live? No, not all the big guys are live. I don't know. Maybe this just becomes chill stream. Maybe this is a Scout episode. Maybe this episode is about my cat Scout. Wow.
Talk a little bit more about the 15 and where you work today.
Well, yeah. So we, for people who've been watching for a long time, you know that I before I was doing this show every day, I was spending a lot of time observing ICE in Minneapolis. I was in the signal chats. I still am in the signal chats. I just don't participate in them. So I was pretty closely involved when, like, at the time when Renee Good and Alex Preddy were murdered. They were neighbors of mine. And the 15 people who got indicted by the FBI were people who were involved in organizing that effort. And as somebody who benefited from that organization, because I participated in these large organized systems to observe ICE and to blow whistles when they arrive at the street corner and that sort of thing, I know from experience that we worked so hard to make sure everybody was properly educated about what was legal to do. That was so important. We have classes about it. You don't hear that, right? The Fox News is never going to tell you that the liberals are running classes to, like Zoom seminars on how, to make sure that you don't break the law. Here are the things that the Constitution says that you can do while observing law enforcement of any kind. Here are the things the Constitution and local state statutes say that you can't do when observing ICE agents. So I can't speak to the exact particulars of all 15 of them because the indictment's like 100 pages long, and they include such things as many pages of signal messages between these people. So, like, I can't pretend to have a comprehensive knowledge about every piece of evidence in this ongoing case, but I do know that this is a clear and obvious attempt to scare people out of organizing efforts to resist what the government is doing in perfectly legal ways. And that should concern all of us, because it's very, very clear that the reason they're going after people in this way. Scout, you're not allowed to walk on the keyboard. The reason they're going after the people in this way is because it was effective. We made ICE look bad here, and they ran away. They left without accomplishing their goal. They declared victory and left. They said they came after fraud. ICE didn't catch any fraudsters. The ongoing investigations that were already happening before Nick Shirley arrived has caught some fraudsters. So I have a lot of thoughts about that, and I'd kind of just love for somebody to come in and talk about it, because I don't know. I think we're getting to the point where it's hard for people to come to somebody like me who has personal experience with it and the facts and the receipts to back it up and actually have a meaningful conversation. Because to say that it's okay for the government to weaponize the Department of Justice against people who are doing work that is not just allowable, not just legal, but constitutionally protected under the First Amendment, that's fucking huge. Abraham Goldsmith, was he a troll, or was he just having a hard time connecting? I can't remember. How old are you?
27.
27. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah, I mean, I voted for him.
If the election was held again today,
I'm MAGA.
If the election was held again today, would you still vote for him?
Is it the same? Is it Kamala running?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think that Trump is better than Kamala? I think that's very silly.
I've been up here before. We've had a pretty good conversation. I didn't think you got this big, though. It's crazy. Good for you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Why did I vote for it was your main question again? Or what was it? I'm sorry.
Well, you said that if the other option was Kamala, you'd still vote for Trump. So I'm wondering why you think that Kamala would be worse than Trump as president.
Just because I think she's still just like every other Democrat. She's not any different. I mean, I think she would have probably done whatever the big establishment behind her told her to do. So it just didn't really feel like an authentic, just didn't feel authentic.
I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry?
Oh, because I'm probably about to be mean to you. Because I think that that suggests to me that you think that Donald Trump radiates some degree of authenticity.
I think he's more authentic than her. Yeah, for sure. I think most people that voted agree with that. I mean, would you say no?
I mean, you might think that he won for some kind of reason and I think some people might think that, but I think that's fucking nonsense. I don't know how you could possibly defend that.
I mean, how could you not say that he's not more authentic? Like, she didn't even win a single swing state. Do you know how bad you have to be to not win single swing state?
Are swing states the measure of authenticity?
Yes.
I don't think you know what authenticity is.
Yeah, what is a swing state?
Swing state is a state where the voting population is very close to 50-50 in our bipartisan system, such that it is a toss-up whether or not any given president wins that state. What does that have to do with authenticity?
Yeah, so the fact that she didn't win a single one just goes to show that no one found her campaign authentic.
I'm going to explain something
no one
to you.
found it real.
I'm going to explain something to you. The pollsters laid out possible outcomes for the election, and the most likely one that they thought was the most likely one, not 50% or more, not a majority likely, not more than.
Which pollster are you talking about? Which pollster?
All of the major pollsters. You don't even know what I was. You don't even know the claim I was.
I know. You're right. Yeah, that's why I stopped.
Okay, so the most likely outcome, which does not mean more than 50%, it just means more likely than all of the other outcomes, was that Kamala Harris would win all the swing states. I forget what the percentage they were giving. It was something like that. It was like 20% likely that she'd win all of them. Do you know what the second most likely outcome was for the 7 swing states?
That she wouldn't win any?
Yeah. Intuitively, some people get it wrong and they think, well, if they expect her to win all of them, the second most likely thing is probably that she would win 6 of 7. But that's actually just not how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I only guessed that she would win none just because, obviously, of what we're talking about. Context clues.
Right.
But
I'm pointing out to you that suggesting that one of the presidents winning all of the swing states means that they're so authentic that they just swept the board is just not how it works. Once we know the outcome of the election in one of the 7 swing states, suddenly, once you know that additional piece of information, the most likely outcome is that all 6 of the remaining swing states will swing the same way, because if the pollsters thought it was 50-50 in this state and it ended up being 52-48, the odds of... Is that video games that I'm hearing? What's in the background?
It's my AC.
Can you move? There's just a lot of background noise for the show. Sorry.
Is that better?
I think that is better. Yeah, so again... whether or not Trump won all 7 of them or Harris won all 7 of them, the statisticians and the pollsters would tell you that I was actually pretty close to a toss-up which of those outcomes it is. So I recognize that if
analytically, so analytically she won. Analytically she won.
That's not what I'm suggesting. She did lose. I'm saying
what do you mean?
Well, because if
you either win or you lost,
right? But that doesn't make you more authentic, is what I'm saying. That's unrelated to this thing about.
Yeah, but I mean, if someone sat here and said that, I would say that you not winning a single swing state just goes to show that the American, as a whole, I don't want to say the American population because most Americans probably didn't. I don't want to say most, but a lot of Americans didn't vote, so it'd be stupid to say that. But if you didn't win a single swing state, I think that's a pretty poor performance.
No,
it's not really good.
No. Whether or not there are swing states, how many of them there are, and how they vote in the election has way more to do with the population distribution in this country than the performance of any particular candidate. There's 50 states. There's always going to be swing states, and if we're going to have a bundle of swing states where it's close to 50%, where most of the campaign attention is going to be, where they're going to divide the money such that if one swing state's more likely to be won than the other, and they need both, they're going to pour money into the other one. It has an equalizing effect on the performance of elections in that state. And that's true of any system that has a bunch of states, an electoral college, and campaign financing, regardless of which parties and candidates we're actually talking about. I don't think you have comprehensive knowledge of how elections work in America, and I don't think you'd be holding the position you are if you did.
That's fine. You can feel that way. That's cool. But I mean, I'm going to ask you a simple question. Do you think
it's not a feeling? It's a hypothesis.
It is
about
a feeling.
What's
I mean,
going
you just
on
said
with
a lot of stuff. You're just talking super fast, bro. I know you got this huge following because of you went on Dean or some shit, but relax, man. Just relax.
I actually went on. No, it's the other way around. I went on Dean because I developed a huge following really quickly, so he noticed me. Now it's growing even faster because of him.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean, I gave you your props. I think you're a good host, but just calm down, bro. You don't got to belittle me. I'm sitting here just trying to have a conversation with you.
Well, I just. So
do you think her campaign was good? Do you think it was a good overall campaign? Would you like to see that ran in 2028?
You spent a moment glazing me to get me to forget what we were talking about.
I'm not glazing you. I do think that you did a good job as a host.
It doesn't work on me. I still remember that I was
trying to glaze you. I'm not trying to glaze you. If you think me giving you your props is glazing, then I think that's just me being a good person. What I'm saying is that I'm not going to
let you move on from the fact that I don't think you understand anything about what it means for a person to win all 7 swing states. I don't think you understood what I said.
I think it means that she did a horrible job.
Right.
What else does it mean? What else does it mean? Without you using big words. What else does it mean?
You said I talk too fast, too many words, too quick.
Yes.
Do I need slower word for you?
Yes.
So you don't understand my position.
Probably for most of the people watching, yeah, you should slow down.
Okay, so you don't understand what I said about the swing states. Do you want me to try again? Because I think it's important that you understand.
Yeah, I don't really see how it correlates. You're trying to like defend like her not winning a single swing state is like you're trying to define it as like it's a good thing. Like it's not.
I'm not saying that
there's no way.
I'm unhappy about that, but I'm saying it was the second most likely outcome was that she wouldn't win any of them. Or actually, that was the first most likely outcome, that she would win them all. The second most likely outcome was that she'd lose them all, and then all the other splits where it's like 1 and 6 or 2 and 5 or 3 and 4 and all the way down the list.
Where did you get that it was that's the second? Actually, that doesn't even really matter. We're arguing dumb semantics
it matters a lot because you said that she was inauthentic.
We're arguing semantics. Yeah, exactly. We're arguing. Who cares if she's authentic or not? The American people spoke.
You cares because you're the one who brought up the topic.
But the American people spoke. They spoke already.
No,
they said she's not authentic.
You brought this up. You said that she was inauthentic. I said defend that.
But the facts don't show that anyone would agree. The reason that you gave me for her being authentic is that she won all 7, or that Trump won all 7 swing states, and I'm explaining to you. Yes, that is what happened. I don't know what that has to do with authenticity. And I demonstrated how even in any system, never mind Harris and Trump, just any electoral college system where there's a bunch of states where each have to go a particular way and then they get all the electoral college votes, you're going to have a distribution where at one end of the spectrum, they're like 100% going to go for party B. On the other end of the spectrum, they're 100% going to go for party A. And then somewhere in the middle, you're going to have these edge cases, unless they're all completely partisan, which is unlikely. But if the middle states are what we call the swing states. And then I said that if you have like 5 or 10 states where it's close, this thing happens where the closer they get, like the more likely you are to win a swing state, the less money your campaign spends on fighting for it. Because if you need the other swing states, you're going to start diverting money and attention and campaign time and flights and rallies and all that stuff to the ones that are lower. So if you have a bunch of swing states where you have a 49% chance of winning, but one of them is 47, your money goes there and you get that up to 49. Maybe along the way, a couple of them popped up to 50%. It's the result of how the game theory of running an election works. It has nothing to do with the specific context of the 2024 election. And I ended my explanation by saying that I don't think that you understood that, and then we've just wasted the last 3 minutes with you trying to move on after declaring that you didn't understand me, which proved me right about the fact that you don't understand what I explained. Because it's just semantics, bro.
It's not semantics.
Are we really going to sit here? Hold on, bro. I didn't interrupt you.
I didn't interrupt you. What is the meaning? What is the meaning of a word that we're discussing? I know I'm interrupting you a lot.
Let me know when I can respond.
You can respond after I ask this question. You said that this is semantics. Semantic arguments are about the meaning of words. What is the meaning of a word that we're debating?
Authentic.
You said
that's
that the reason,
word we're debating.
Okay, and you said that the reason that she was inauthentic is because she lost the swing states, and I said that makes no fucking sense to me at all.
I don't think she's inauthentic because she lost the swing states.
I asked you why she was inauthentic, and the reason you gave me is that
proof to why she's inauthentic. No, she didn't win a single swing state. That's good proof right there. How is that not proof?
Because I've offered a very comprehensive explanation.
You didn't offer nothing, bro. You just offered like the breakdown of like voting. If she was authentic, more people would have voted for her.
Do you think that Hillary Clinton was more authentic than Donald Trump in 2016?
No, I thought she was fake.
But more people voted for her.
But who won?
Okay, but
he won a swing state.
But you just
Did
said
he lose all swing states?
But if
he won
now you're yelling
because I swing states. Bro,
do you want to recant Bro, do you want to recant Do you want to recant what you said a second ago about how if more people vote for you, you're more authentic?
He won swing states.
You can keep repeating that. I'm going to insist you answer about Hillary Clinton.
She didn't win a single one.
You said just a second ago that the reason that she was more authentic or less authentic is because she didn't get as many votes. But Hillary Clinton got 2 million more votes than Donald Trump in the 2016 election.
You're talking about overall, though. I'm talking about in the swing states. If she was more authentic, the people in the swing states would have voted for her.
Oh, so she's only less authentic in the swing states?
Is that not true? What I said, is that not true?
I just think that you're making a really tenuous connection between
there you go. You're not answering it. Why aren't you answering it? It's yes or no.
Yes or no to what?
You know if she was more authentic, do you think people in swing states would have voted for her? Do you think more people in the swing states would have voted for her?
Not necessarily. I don't think that authenticity, because I don't think that there's that strong a link between authenticity and election success in America, which is the problem.
Okay, so you said not necessarily. So what is the other half of you that kind of can see it?
Well,
because when you say not necessarily,
well, it's not going to be half and half. Elections are complicated, and authenticity matters.
So then it's no, not necessarily.
You're forcing me into absolute answers when it's complicated. There are a lot of.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm holding you. You're using words. They have definitions.
Allow me to explain. Again,
they have definitions.
Allow me to explain. If we have an election where it's close, and we could look at the 7 swing states and realize that it was close in all of them. So if the public sentiment was shifted, say 1 or 2% the other direction, then she would have won all of them. And because it only takes 1 or 2% in the general population to swing the entire election, we could come up with any number of things that would have made that 1 or 2% swing. Is it possible that she could have been more authentic and won 1 or 2% more of the vote? That's a possibility, but there's like 100 things like that we could say that about. So I'm not impressed that authenticity matters to elections. I'm unimpressed that you can't demonstrate to me that Kamala Harris actually is more authentic than Trump, especially because I accept the fact that it's entirely possible for the less authentic politician to win, especially when for decades, for centuries, people have been complaining about the fact that politicians have to be inauthentic to win elections. In fact, in consideration of that fact, somebody who wins all the swing states is actually probably less likely to be authentic.
Yeah, I don't know how you get that logic, but
I'll explain it a little bit further. If you don't understand it, then I'll explain it a little bit further.
Brother, I didn't cut you off, brother.
No. I want to explain it. I want to explain it. So here, if you have a state,
explaining, and I've been listening.
Here, I'm super liberal. If I was running for president, I could run.
I wouldn't say you're super liberal. I'm
a far left-leaning liberal.
I know, but I've listened to your lives. I wouldn't say you're super liberal, man.
I think that you associate being on the left with being unreasonable, and you know that I'm not that unreasonable, so you don't think I'm that liberal, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm hyper liberal.
But even before I came up, you were talking with the guy about immigration and a lot of the points you've kind of agreed with. So I wouldn't say you're super liberal.
One thing that people like to do is present a fact, and I'm like, yep, that's a fact. Like whether or not it like makes me look good or whatever.
No, but
like,
he talked about like your perfect world, and in your perfect world, a lot of your things also matched up with his. So you were not that super liberal.
I'm not going to let you get away with it. I want to explain why I don't think that being authentic is necessarily the best way to win swing states. Can I explain that?
We're not even. All right, yeah.
If I was running for president as the very liberal person that you, for some reason, don't think that I am, you should watch more of my show, dude.
I follow you.
Okay, if I was running for president, I wouldn't have a very hard time winning California. Do you agree?
What'd you say?
If I was running for president,
if you ran for California,
no, for president of the United States. Let's assume I've already won the primary. I probably don't need to work very hard to win California. I can just be myself. I can be authentic, right?
Yeah, which
California would probably vote for authentic Oscar. I've got the home field advantage in Minnesota. I probably wouldn't have to work very hard to win Minnesota either, because it generally leans liberal in the presidential elections, and I'm from here, so that's always a boost. I probably wouldn't have to work very hard to win New York because it's hyper liberal. I could just be my authentic self. But when it comes to a state like Georgia, that is a swing state.
You might not win New York, but
pesky politician Oscar might think, if I'm authentic, I could lose Georgia because there's a bunch of people in the middle who really prefer a red candidate. So I might have to be inauthentic and say some things that maybe appease some of those red or centrist voters. Do you think that'd be a sensible strategy for winning Georgia?
I mean, if you want to lie to some people to get some votes, that's what you can do, but no, I don't think that's a smart strategy.
I didn't ask if it was smart. I asked if it was I may have said the word smart.
What's being inauthentic? What's being inauthentic? Not your true self. What's not being your true self? Being something that you're not. What's being something that you're not? Essentially lying. So you would be lying.
Yes, what I'm saying is that if I wanted to...
Dude, so yeah, I don't think that you should lie to people just to get votes.
I don't think you're understanding my argument right now.
I think that's the difference between like Democrats and Republicans.
I agree with you that you shouldn't do that. I'm saying that
You just said, don't you think that would be a sensible thing to do?
If the only goal was...
inauthentic?
If the only goal was to win Georgia, being inauthentic, it gets you closer, right?
So you're saying that you should lie to get votes?
No,
be inauthentic.
I don't think, no, we agree that you shouldn't. I'm saying that Trump did.
Just
and
be
that's why
inauthentic.
I'm saying that Trump won Georgia by being inauthentic is what I'm saying. And you agree that that's bad.
No, I don't think that's what you were trying to get at, because originally you were saying if I was going to win a state in Georgia, I would have to be inauthentic, wouldn't you say that's a good thing? Like, dude, you're talking about yourself. You weren't talking about Trump.
I used myself as a hypothetical.
And not once did you say, now we're going to...
Am I running for president? You can't talk about hypothetical. That's what's going on. I'm not running for president.
I did. You know that, right? You talked about Minnesota, you talked about California, and then you switched to a red state, and you said something about being inauthentic.
Georgia is not a red state. It's a swing state.
Oh my Lord, man. Wait, you said, wouldn't it be good to be inauthentic? Wouldn't that be a smart
thing? How are you not getting it? Do you not understand that being inauthentic is a tool in the toolbox for winning a swing state? Yes or no?
Yeah, and you said, do you think that's a smart thing to do? I said, no, I don't think you should lie to people.
I agree with you that you shouldn't do that, but it is an effective thing to do if you're trying to win the swing states, yes?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Okay,
I don't think
so that's why I'm saying that the fact that Trump won the 7 swing states doesn't show me that he's authentic. In fact, if anything, it probably suggests to me that he's inauthentic. Because being inauthentic is a thing that is helpful for winning the swing states.
Oh, you're less likely. You really suck up on this authentic thing, man.
I am. That's what happens when people say bullshit on my because you're
it's not bullshit.
It is.
It's not.
I think I don't know, chat. Do you think it's bullshit for me to hold the guests down on this?
Obviously, they're going to agree with you, bro. Like you're asking people that follow you. Like obviously, they're going to agree with you.
But you brought up him winning the swing states as a reason why Kamala Harris isn't authentic.
I think factually, if you didn't win a single swing state, you were a horrible candidate.
I agree that it's bad that politicians do this sort of thing on the left and the right. When people say both sides do it, this is a particular thing I will actually say both sides are really guilty of, is being inauthentic to win swing states and swing districts. Can we agree on that?
I can agree there. Yeah.
Okay,
100%.
then why did you... Okay, so if you agree that both sides are very guilty of being inauthentic to win swing states and swing districts, why did you give Kamala Harris losing the swing states as evidence of her being authentic? That makes no fucking sense to me, and I'm trying to figure it out.
I didn't view Trump as inauthentic. I didn't view him as... just because I admitted that both sides do that, that's not me saying that Trump did that. I'm just saying that there are I can acknowledge that politicians do that on both sides.
So let's go back to let's see if we're still stuck on this.
Like JD Vance,
let's just make sure, because you want to be done being stuck on this. I kind of do as well. So let's review.
Yeah.
True or false? Somebody winning swing states is not good evidence of them being authentic or inauthentic. Or them being authentic.
Personally, if you didn't win a single swing state, I would say it's because people didn't like you. So I would agree to it being that you're not authentic.
Then why a second ago did you recognize that the best strategy to win swing states is to be inauthentic?
I didn't say it was the best strategy.
Compared to being authentic.
I acknowledge that it is a strategy that people use.
You acknowledge that being authentic makes swing states hard and a better strategy.
That's not what I acknowledged.
Then we need to start over with this, because I think you're very wrong about that. Now you're painting me into
a corner, because that's not what I said at all.
I feel like I'm giving you every opportunity to explain yourself.
Yeah, I acknowledge that people on both sides will be inauthentic to get votes, but I'm not sitting here saying that's what you should do or that's the best route to go. I've never once said that. This entire time, I'm pretty sure I've been constantly saying you shouldn't lie. So...
But what I'm not understanding here, and pardon my dog barking. What I'm not understanding here is hypothetically, let's make it you so that you understand it's a hypothetical, because I'm pretty sure that you understand that you're not running for office, unless you are. Please don't. But anyway, let's say you're running for president and you're sitting in the campaign office and you're trying to win Georgia. But Georgia, you're running for Team Red, and Georgia has been a swing state. They've gone blue and red before. So your campaign manager says to you, "Hey, that policy you have about this or that you really love, maybe don't harp on that so much when you do the rally in Georgia, because all the Reds in Georgia already agree with you, and you're just not going to win any of the blues that we need, any of the centrists that we need to get you to win Georgia. So maybe pipe down about that particular policy when you're in Georgia." Can you imagine your campaign manager saying something to you like that?
Yeah, I could. But right. I think that's way different than
being inauthentic.
Lying.
That's being inauthentic, though, because if you were being authentic, because if you're suppressing the things that you want to talk about to your constituents because you want to win their votes.
That's not suppressing, though. That's just not talking about it.
Suppressing in this
it would be suppressing if someone in the crowd brought it up. What's the definition of suppressing?
Doing less than otherwise, or causing it to happen less than otherwise?
I'm not trying to be smart. I obviously I have an idea of what it is, but I don't know the actual Webster definition. But I mean, I don't think like you not talking about something. I guess I could see that being suppressing, but I view it
right. So
I would view suppressing
this is
as
semantic. Now we're arguing semantics. So forget the word suppression.
Yeah,
you were going to resist your urge to talk about this thing that's important to you because you might lose voters.
I wouldn't. No.
Okay,
I wouldn't.
that's great. I love that for you. But your campaign manager wants you to because he sees it as a sensible strategy to win Georgia.
I don't care.
Right.
Honestly, I wouldn't care. I would talk about what I would want to talk about. People that would vote for me, I would want them to know what I'm standing on.
You're not able to consider a perspective that isn't your own. So instead of recognizing that this is a valuable strategy for winning the election, you're just thinking about what you would personally do, which is not what's up for debate right now. Right, that's great. We're not talking about you. We're talking about your campaign manager whose job it is to make you win Georgia, and you recognize that it would be sensible for him to be like, hey, watch it on the policies that the blue voters in Georgia don't like. And what I'm saying is that you just a second ago recognized that your campaign manager
I don't view that as sensible, though. I don't view that as sensible.
But the campaign manager does because he's only concerned with you winning Georgia, so he wants you to be inauthentic.
Okay, but are the people voting for my campaign manager or are they voting for me?
They're voting for you, and
they're voting for me.
And your campaign manager is advising.
Yeah, so I don't care what the campaign manager says.
Yeah, you can't track a hypothetical. That's what's going on.
Wait,
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. It's rare that somebody so thoroughly can't track a hypothetical. Forgive me for doing this. Did you eat breakfast this morning?
Oh my God, no.
Okay, can you imagine how you would feel if you did?
No, I don't eat breakfast. What? What's so funny about that, bro? I'm a hard-working man. I have to be at work at 6:30 in the morning, bro. I don't got time for breakfast. Do I eat lunch? Yeah.
Oh my God! I've never had somebody give it like do it like that. Holy shit! You can't imagine how you'd feel if you ate a big hearty breakfast of eggs and potatoes and whatever breakfast shit you might eat. Like, what?
Yeah, I'm sure I would feel full. Yeah.
Ah, why is that so hard for you to imagine being in a different position
just
than
like,
you?
Bro, like, whoa. Oscar, come on, bro. You're better than this.
I usually am. But I'm usually talking to somebody whose brain works better than yours does.
I know you are. Come on, bro. Come on, don't do that. Don't do that.
No, you have to be able to track hypotheticals in order to discuss politics. It's necessary. I'm sorry, but it really is necessary.
Okay, so then let me just ask you a quick question before I drop down. How about that?
I'm not kicking you. I'm just saying that I have to really change the way that I talk about this stuff with you, and we have to talk about some far more basic things than
kicking me. I have to go myself. Like, I have to go in the next 5 minutes.
Okay, all right. You can direct the last 5 minutes then. What's up? What do you want to discuss with your last 5 minutes? Are you there? Can you hear me? He can hear me. The mic's working, right?
I can hear you. I can hear you now.
We were breaking up a bit. I'll let you pick your topic for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a quick question about the last guy. I don't know if it was the last guy, but I was listening maybe like almost an hour ago, and you were talking about immigration, and you were talking about birthright citizenship. So it kind of sounded like you didn't agree, but you kind of agreed. So like, what is your view on it?
I don't think that illegal immigration is good. Like, a lot of times people on the left get accused of, like, wanting there to be illegal immigration. That's fucking silly. Here's an example I give. People who are illegal immigrants often drive cars illegally because we don't give them driver's licenses, but you often need a car in most places in this country to work a job and feed your family. And that's bad. That's a shitty negative outcome. I don't want people who haven't taken the test on the road. I want people to read the manual and go take the written test and then go get some driving practice time and then go, like this. We have this whole system to make sure that drivers on the road are safe, but people operate outside of that system because we don't let them have driver's licenses. Like, that's a negative outcome from illegal immigration that I'm concerned about. That would go away if we gave these people citizenship and just let them fucking have driver's licenses like the rest of us. Let them earn driver's licenses like the rest of us. So, like, illegal immigration is bad. Like, if I'm just going to put a binary good or bad on it, I just think that the solution, when we have a problem, when we have an issue, the solution isn't always to just slam down the hammer of law. And here's the example that I use to make people understand this. The green stuff that people like rolling up into a tube and combusting to make themselves feel funny. Can't say the name of it on TikTok, but I'm a musician. I'm going to go sit on that couch behind me and do it after I wrap the show today. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same in about an hour. So
Great. So we're on the same page that we probably don't belong in prison for that, right?
No, I don't believe that. No.
I live in a place where it's not illegal, so it's nothing wrong with me sitting in my own home and doing it. But it was illegal pretty recently. But instead of saying, no, it's illegal, full extent of the law, lock Oskar up, no, we just said this law's fucking stupid. Let's handle this in a different way. And now we are. And now we're actually going after, like, there were criminals involved with that substance before it was illegal. And there still are some. You can still buy it illegally. But there are fewer people doing it illegally because it's legal. Users get to do it legally. And there's less incentive for criminals to run criminal enterprises selling it. So we've quelled that. We have a better solution than just if you think that we should deport all the illegal immigrants, it'd be like 10 or 15 years ago saying that we need to go round up all of that stuff smokers and lock them up. Because, like, that's just, why is that a good solution? Why is the current legal consequence for legal immigration necessarily a good solution for somebody who's committed that crime? That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't necessarily agree that every person getting
it legally was too hard, so most people got it illegally, right? And that was a bad state of affairs.
Are you referring about, like, people that came here?
No, I was talking about the green stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, all right, yeah.
So you recognize with the green stuff that it was bad that most people were acquiring it illegally, so we changed the system so that it was easier to get legally, and now there's less suffering because of that. You agree, right?
I mean, I think people should have had the right to. Obviously, if it's illegal, they shouldn't be selling it. But I agree. I'll agree.
Okay, so I can say the same thing about illegal immigration. It's too hard to get into the country legally, so people are doing it illegally. That presents problems that I described. Crime and dealers and stuff in the case of substances, or I gave an example of people driving illegally with illegal immigrants, or whatever other issues we might have by having undocumented people in the country, or otherwise people who otherwise don't have a legal status. Like, that they're acquiring residency in the country illegally in a way that's problematic for society. The solution can be the same, which we can make it easier to acquire that residency legally, just like we made it easier to acquire the green stuff legally. This is way less of a headache of a solution. For the same reason.
I don't know if it would be less of a headache, like reforming the entire immigration system.
Less than a headache than deporting 12 million people, which, by the way, includes half of the agricultural laborers in this country who would then need to be replaced. You think that it would be less of a headache to give each of them paperwork than it would be to physically put them on a vehicle of some kind and deport them to another country?
Yeah, I think it would be more of a headache. I'm not sitting here saying that we should.
Hold on. Remember,
brother, dude, am I going to be able to speak at all?
Go ahead.
I'm not sitting here saying that we should deport 12 million people. I don't even think people that came here and have been able to contribute for 10 years, 5, whatever, a couple of years, and they show that they can pay taxes and actually contribute something to this country. I don't think we should deport them. I mean, like you were saying about the system, it doesn't incentivize people to come here the wrong way, but it kind of does.
You just said something very democratic sounding to me. You just said that most of them who are here for a period of time and they show that they can work and pay taxes and not break laws, you don't want to deport.
I just think they should get fined super heavy, a lot of money. But
I don't
other than that, they can stay.
Because I consider them victims of okay, you're pretty close to agreeing with me then on what we should do with these people. I just don't think we should fine them for the same reason that I don't think that you and me should get a fine for doing the green stuff before it became legal.
Yeah, but it's different.
Why is it different?
I get what you're saying about the green stuff.
What's different about it other than your feelings?
There's thousands of people waiting to come into the country.
And there were thousands of people waiting to get the green stuff to treat their cancer or their seizure disorders.
Are you gonna really? That's way different. People waiting to come into this country compared to how many people use medical for that. I don't know the exact number, but I'm sure there's more people waiting to come into the country. I don't know. I think that's a bad example.
You can play spot the difference, but I'm not understanding ethically what you think is different about these two examples. We had a legal system that was bad and caused suffering, so we changed it in such a way that most of the people who broke the rules in that system were forgiven. Yay. Or even exonerating some people who ended up in prison because they broke their probation by doing the green stuff, which is really messed up. You paid your debt to society, you're free, but you broke this silly law that we've since repealed. well, yeah, we should let those people out of prison. Like, if you went to prison for violating probation on the green stuff, like, that's fucking silly. Like, we fixed this system and we gave amnesty to the people who broke the rules. We forgave them. And that's all I'm saying that we should do with immigration. And you were pretty close to agreeing me, saying that most of these people, something more than 10 million of these 12 million undocumented or otherwise illegal immigrants, are people who should stay because they're contributing members of society. So for some reason you want to fine them, and I just don't think that that's helpful. I don't think that solves anything.
I mean, it doesn't. The tax I don't think it solves like what you probably want, but they need to get punished.
The tax participation rate of illegal immigrants is something like 75-80%, and it would get a lot closer to 100%. I don't know what it is for the general population. I bet it's like 95, 97 if I had to guess. The tax participation rate would be much higher if we gave them citizenship, because they'd have an easier. But a lot of them aren't aware that the IRS will take their taxes without them getting deported, because the IRS does want their tax money. But we do know that if we gave them all a path to citizenship, the tax participation rate, the percentage of people who are paying their taxes among illegal immigrants would go up, and that amount of money would be enormous. I think that we could get money that way instead of taxing people who are just working hard to feed their families and live that American dream.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's just a difference of opinions. What you're saying, I don't know.
It's a difference of feeling. That's kind of why I said that. Show me the difference. That isn't a feeling. I asked for the difference between how you feel about the green stuff versus illegal immigration, and I said I don't want feelings. I just want facts, and that's the issue. I don't think you have any facts that show that they're different. They're both broken systems that require fixing to reduce human suffering and increase the prosperity of the country, which is what we've seen.
There's more people waiting to come into the country.
Yeah, and we need to deal with that as well. My approach to immigration is two-pronged. We have to have a system in place for the people who are already here, and then once that system's like in place to handle those people, then we can adjust how quickly we're able to process applications to the country, and then go from there. And then once both of those two different things are done, then I can say that maybe a year or two down the road, somebody who illegally immigrates to the country while my system is in place has committed a crime that I think is unreasonable to commit, because they should have used the regular way to get in. Because, by the way, just separately to all of this, the country, just in an economic sense, in a socioeconomic sense, does want immigrants right now. The birth rate of people who are born here is too low. The country's population will continue to decrease if we don't have immigration, and that's bad for a bunch of economic reasons, longitudinally, like over the course of the next few decades, in terms of what the labor force in this country is as we continue to prosper and develop new technology. We have an age histogram problem of the sort that we see in Japan, where there's an aging population. They've achieved prosperity. They don't have a big immigration situation at all. There aren't very many people immigrating to Japan, and as a result of that, elderly people who need care are starting to outnumber young people who can afford to care for them. That's a socioeconomic emergency in Japan, that if the Republicans somehow succeed at getting rid of this immigration problem by force with immigration, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years down the line, we're going to have overcrowded nursing homes and not enough young people to take care of them. That's a fucking problem. Like I said a couple times throughout the show today, a lot of these solutions are just too fucking short-sighted. And if you know a little bit more about socioeconomics, you can tell that there's just better ways out of the darkness on this, because I do consider it a pretty dark situation that 3 to 4% of the residents of this country aren't in accordance with the laws of this country. That's bad. We should fix that. I just think we should fix it like we fixed the green stuff.
I'm not disagreeing. I think they're just a lot different. I mean,
why are they different?
There's not really much. They just are, man.
They being what?
I think it's crazy that you don't see the difference between like
we're
arguing
talking about two different issues, and what you're saying
stuff. And like, yeah, I understand that. You're trying to compare it like to green stuff and like immigration and all. It makes no sense. I don't agree with it. I'm not saying that like you're wrong, but.
What is your reason? Because if you don't have a reason, if you can't think of the reason why you disagree, then it's not reasonable for you to disagree. You're just thinking with your feelings.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, I'm not about to like go do some research right now. I'm kind of transporting.
But I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that. Well, because I know you.
Listen. I'm gonna go. I don't want to get your shit taken down or anything. I follow you, so next time you're live or something, I'll come back up.
But I feel like I might have made some progress with you. You should go do that research.
Nah, listen. I had a good conversation with you. You're very level-headed. I wouldn't say I'm glazing you. I enjoy, talking to you and listening to your conversation. So have a good day, man.
I appreciate you. Interesting conversation. I knew I'd seen the username before. It had been a while, definitely, since I talked to him. So I guess he thought I'd grown. One more. We got 13 minutes left for the scheduled part of the show, but we might go 45-ish minutes. Jess, are you okay with that? Yeah. Cool. Got to check with the team. We're going to talk to a period. Just a period is the username. He was making a lot of noise in the chat, but I'm sorry I wasn't paying attention to it. How old are you?
Hello, I'm 27.
Oh, and forgive me, Mr. 27-year-old period. I am just going to thank a couple of donors before I get into my call with you, because David sent me $20 on Venmo to say, when I gifted for GTA 6, I forgot there was an Ultimate Edition, and you can't miss out on all the exclusive outfits. Now Oscar will be playing GTA 6 with style. People who watched the first half of the show from this morning get the inside joke there. And David sent me another $5, probably for a message to that caller. Trump pretending to work at McDonald's to pander to the working class is inauthentic because he's never worked a blue-collar job in his life. I agree, David. I think that actually is a pretty good thing to point out about the sort of inauthentic things that politicians tend to do. And then we have Roland Main on YouTube Super Chat for $5. He said, "Will callers support a progressive DSA candidate?" Then, I think potentially that was for the previous caller, because I think we all saw that moment where with the previous caller it poked through. Oh, that was 2 calls ago. My bad. Thank you, producer Jesse, for pointing that out to me. I was too locked in on that previous one. But what I was gonna say is I think the previous caller was like, he almost fell through the trap where he used his noodle for a second and arrived at some democratic sounding policies, and then he was like, wait a minute, no. Find them! Evil! Anyway, 27-year-old, do you have a name, or am I calling you period?
You can just call me period, it's fine.
Okay, period. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I support aspects of his policy. So I just want to ask you some questions too, because I just
want to make sure I understand like the degree to which you support his policies. If the election was held again tomorrow, who would you vote for?
Who is Trump running against? Like, you mean Kamala?
Sure.
I would not vote.
You would not vote at all?
I don't like either candidate at all, and I think it's really.
But so you think they're exactly equal? Because that is the only way it's sensible for you to not vote if you think they're exactly equal.
I mean, if you're not in a swing state, I mean, is it really that?
No,
big of a
I disagree, because I recognize that it's disenfranchising to live in a non-swing state, but we can point to things like I did earlier about the fact that we had a caller who said that Kamala Harris was less authentic because she got fewer votes, and then I pointed out that Hillary Clinton got more votes in 2016 by a pretty wide margin, by something like 2 million votes, and that margin is widened by your vote. So even if you don't win the election,
why does the margin matter if it's not?
Because you get to point at it and tell everybody how angry you are about the Electoral College and I
don't really care about that. So that's not my point. My point is that
let's pretend you did live in a swing state. Then let's pretend you live in Georgia.
Yeah, I don't want to frame the conversation around this. I want to frame the conversation around Trump's immigration policy.
No, I'm not able to understand the degree to which you support Trump unless you give me an answer to who you'd vote for if you were in a swing state. Because fundamentally, we don't even have to work in the context of the election. I could just say, you are God. You get to decide the outcome of the election. Who would you choose?
I'm not sure why you want this framing, but I'll give it to you. Okay, if I was in a swing state, I'd probably vote for Trump.
Okay. Now you can tell me why.
So, I support Trump's, actually, it's pretty, the aggressiveness of it, maybe the way he's handling it, I don't support. But I support Trump's immigration policy. I don't even consider myself a right-wing type of person. I think that if you're economically left-wing, I don't think supporting mass immigration to the country or supporting immigrants that come here on H-1B visas or J-1 visas or immigrants that deflate wages. Literally, you had a sign here that said like blue-collar workers should not support Trump. If you're a blue-collar worker, my dad was in the union, why would you support people who come in here and they literally hire illegal people or other people to cross the picket line and do your work for you? They're literally scabs. Why would you support people that do that? It does not really make sense to me to be economically left-wing and support mass immigration in this country.
Democrats don't support illegal immigration. Are you talking about legal immigrants being bad for blue-collar workers?
I think both are. I think both are bad for all workers. I think H-1Bs, for example, for the tech industry yes, they are. And explain to me why you don't think so.
Because skilled laborers contribute to the success of the companies that they work at in such a way that they yield more than one job to the market. So even though they took up one job, they create more jobs than they cost.
How? Okay, so you're saying that because the skilled laborer makes more money for the company, so the company can hire more. Is that what your point about it?
Economic growth, yeah, generally.
Yeah,
It's a little bit of a simplification of what I just said. But
No, that's a humongous oversimplification. Here's my take on it, right? If you're an H-1B worker, you're literally taking a job for an American to do the same thing. I've seen H-1B openings for software engineers making like $90K a year from India.
We don't have enough software engineers, though.
Yes, we do. Yes,
we don't.
Yes, we do. Oh, we 100% do. Yes, we do. Why are software engineers struggling to find work right now? It's not just due to AI. It's due to a lot of reasons.
Okay, the software engineer jobs that pay that much, we don't have enough of those.
Yes, we do. I'm in tech. Yeah, we do. We have a lot of software engineers, a lot of unemployed software engineers, 1 or 2 years out of school. These companies hire H-1Bs because they like paying a lower wage. That's why if you ever go to a tourist area, right, they hire J1 visas, people from Thailand, right? They make the equivalent of like 150K because they get the American dollar, right? Business owners love paying these people this wage because they work really hard because they're making more money, so they don't hire Americans, right? It's very simple. An American's not going to work as hard because they're not going to be making 150K in their local currency, right? Immigration is good for business owners. If you're a working class person, you do not want massive immigration.
Hold on. I think I'm going to concede on this because I'm thinking about it, and I think I'm thinking a little bit incorrectly about this. But I think that the important thing is that broadly, these sorts of employees still make the country better, and it's still better if you live in a country that's doing better. So you can look at individual cases.
No, well, this whole country does well because we set up systems of exploitation and murder around the world. Like, I'm not a supporter of capitalism. I'm saying that, like, your audience is this left-wing people who style themselves as this.
Hold on, you're gishgalloping
and then they somehow support. Okay,
dude, I gave you the concession, and we can't even talk about it. Like, what is going on? Like you're moving on to so many things. We don't need. Are you in a hurry? You sound like you're in a hurry.
No, I'm just walking, so I'm kind of out of breath. My bad.
Well, it's just more the frantic nature with which you're saying all these things at me. Like, I get kind of yippy when I feel like the person I'm talking to isn't listening, and I have to really, like, aggressively get a word in edgewise. But we can, like, fucking slow down and talk about this.
Well, you do talk a lot too, and you do interrupt, so I feel like I have to get my word in, but I'll lower the pace down.
People who watch my show a lot know that if you actually just stay chill with me, I will stay chill also. So I try to keep it there. But yeah, so we can point to particular areas where one particular person might have less luck in the labor market because of immigration, legal or otherwise. But that doesn't mean that because of your narrow case, the entire system is bad and we should fuck everybody else over because of your concerns. You realize that, right?
So you're saying that we shouldn't change the system because I have a concern about illegal or legal immigration not causing wage growth for the average American. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, I think what I'm understanding is that there are sectors in which that wage growth for citizens or native-born Americans isn't there, but across the board,
there's multiple. Go ahead.
Like in general, in the entire
sectors,
economy,
right?
In the entire economy, though, illegal immigrants and immigrants generally are good for the economy. That's my point.
Good for who? For the average worker, or good for the average person who owns assets or businesses?
All of the above. Everybody benefits from living in such a place.
No, they don't. No, I think that wages grow when there's like a limited supply of labor. A lot of these illegal immigrants work in farming, different things like that. People don't want to work those jobs because your American business owner will pay these people bad wages. No one is going to want to work for $15 an hour in the heat. Illegal immigrants will do that because they're hungry and they'll do that, right? Business owners love this. Republicans in the Midwest, the South, they support illegal immigration due to this.
The net positive to people living in the country is still better.
No, the net positive is towards people who own assets as a class and business owners. And you're just basically telling me trickle-down economics to me, that it improves us all as a whole, as a team. We're not some team. It's going to improve a class of people.
Right.
And so if you're not a business owner or asset owner, it's not improve your life.
I think we're conflating illegal and legal immigration here, because what I would like to do is give illegal immigrants better wages by making them citizens and not having them work under the table, having them participate in the labor system like everybody else.
Do you think that, so we live in a society, right, where people own stuff, but some people don't own stuff. Do you think the better policy proposal, or like not the better one, sorry, the one that will actually get done, is that we're going to make people who own assets and businesses, we live in an oligarchy that control our country, to pay illegal immigrants more money? Or are they going to get on board with us mass deporting people? That's my question. Like, which one do you think has a higher likelihood of like happening in this country?
So this is a little, this is a little bit what I was detecting, because you're pushing some very leftist sounding ideologies, but you said you're a Trump supporter, which suggests to me that you're an accelerationist. Am I correct in suspecting that?
No, I'm not an accelerationist. I'd consider myself a communist, but I think that like you can't be that unless you're against mass immigration.
Okay, what do you think an accelerationist is if you're a communist who supports Trump?
I think, well, I'm not an accelerationist. I think those people, like, my interpretation of them is that they're crazy, they want the whole system to collapse, they're like insane, like let's make it all get destroyed or something. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that.
You're a communist who would want Trump to win over Harris. That makes no fucking sense to me at all.
Why?
Unless you're an accelerationist, because the accelerationists want Trump's misbehavior to cause the system to collapse, hoping communism will rise from it. I think if Trump executes his immigration agenda, it will probably help a lot of the average American worker, actually. I get back to my main point, is that people, left-wingers follow your account, they follow this stuff. You got one W because I like misunderstood the scope of what you were saying about like the effect on the labor force of immigration, so like I conceded that because I was wrong about it. But I am just so now baffled by the fact that you're a communist who supports Donald Trump. I don't really support
him. I'm saying if I was in a swing state,
if you could choose, he would stay president instead of us going back in time and changing it to Kamala Harris. That's why at the beginning of the conversation I specified.
I 100% agree, yeah.
So I clarified that. You were confused about why I wanted to understand the type of Trump supporter you are. You are the type of Trump supporter who would prefer that he stay president than go back in time and change it to Kamala Harris. Or if the election was held tomorrow and you're God and you get to decide who wins, it's going to be Trump. I just cannot understand how you square that with being a communist. That's absolutely fucking insane.
I think if Kamala Harris had real positions on the border and legal and illegal immigration, I prefer Kamala Harris, but I'm not convinced right now that if Kamala won, then a lot of these harsh measures would be taken.
As a communist, do you think that Donald Trump's policies on immigration are more important than everything the fuck else?
No, but we're talking about immigration right now. I think it's very important.
I asked you why you wanted him to be president instead of Kamala Harris, which is why I was so particular about getting you to say that in whatever way is correct for you, given the confines of my line of questioning, which is about who you want to have won the election. You are glad that Trump won the election. You're not upset that he lost. That's a Trump supporter in my book. The fact that you still feel that way today makes you a Trump supporter, and the fact that you keep falling back on this thing about immigration, which I disagree with you about, by the way, like broadly across the board, I still disagree about the effect that immigration has on the economy and the labor market and the rights of the worker and all that stuff. But like, even if you were right about that, you just said a second ago that you'd vote for Harris if she was more aligned with you on immigration. So then I once you said that, I said, okay, so because of immigration, you want Trump instead of Harris because none of the rest of it matters enough. And then you disagreed with me, and I consider that an inconsistency. Explain.
Okay. I think that, and I'll go back on my point then, I think that immigration is the most important thing for me right now. I think that when it comes to these broader systems issues, you're talking about America and the type of country that we live in, the number one thing that's impacting working class people's lives is the oligarchy we live under, which is, oppressing us in some way. But
why do you vote for Trump, though? Or why do you want Trump to be president? That doesn't make any sense to me. He's making it all worse.
Because there's a working class there. Can I finish? Yeah. Because there is a backlash that the Trump has to appeal to, which is people, working class people, Republicans primarily, are anti-immigration. I think that's a wave that's worth riding.
Yeah, that's an accelerationist viewpoint.
Why?
Because if you think that wave is going to get you to where you want to be, regardless of the destruction that tidal wave causes...
What destruction?
You do understand a lot of people are going to suffer if we successfully deport 12 million people. That's going to cause like a humanitarian crisis, right?
No, I'm not saying I'm not for them rounding. Again, I said at the beginning, I saw what happened, how Trump is handling it. I'm not exactly the biggest fan ever. I don't think 12 million people should be shoved on cattle cars and sent to Mexico. There should be some type of process for some people staying in, us plugging up the border, not allowing new illegal immigrants in, and some type of triaging process where people who have proved they've contributed or something can stay, like criminals and stuff.
Chat's blown away. They're pointing out that we've never seen so xenophobic and anti-immigration a communist, and I agree. You're a special specimen, dude. Like, what
no,
the fuck?
I don't think so. I think if you look at early socialist movements, actually in our history, a lot of them were anti-immigrant. So it's actually a very recent thing.
We're not talking about socialism. We're talking about communism. But now we're talking about socialism. I can think of some very xenophobic national socialist parties. Do you want to talk about those?
I am not first of all, I'm not white. So like, I'm not some type of like, I don't care about race. It's not about race. It's a class thing. And if you look at historically, communists and socialists were actually anti-immigrant. We had unions. Unions are very anti-immigrant for a reason. It's not because we hated them. It's because it was a tool used by capitalist people to lower our wages. This is a real historical fact. It's only a recent Western leftist interpretation that we should have mass immigration. It's a tool by the oligarchy. Like, they want you to support this. The Koch brothers gave millions of dollars in libertarian institutes for this mass immigration platform to bring people in. These deflate wages. It hurts ordinary Americans. If you care about Americans, you wouldn't like illegal immigration or legal immigration. I'm not some like crazy Trump supporter that wants people to be like killed or sent over the border or something like that crazy thing. But like, I recognize that it's not good for our country for these people to be here. I think it's pretty simple. It's not good for the average person.
I almost feel like it's like less so important to talk to you about the immigration thing, because even if I just like, for the sake of argument, conceded that you're right about this thing about immigration, the idea that you as a communist voted for the fascist Donald Trump is just so, I'm just not fucking tracking it. What?
Okay, like, so I know you're giggling about it. I get it. You have an audience, but it's very simple,
blown away by this. No, I'm completely blown away by this.
But can you please poke holes in my logic a bit? Like, I guess, like, I know you're saying you're blown away. You think it's so
if you're absolutely a communist, crazy. If you're a communist, I think that even if you were completely right about everything that you said about immigration, you were right about some of the things you said about immigration, not all of them. But even if I think you were right about every single one of them, as a communist, I think that the things you want are things that we are going to get farther away from because of Trump. I think life in America 10 years from now, because Trump is president this second time, is going to be worse for the communists than it would be for Harris. I actually really worry about what life is going to be like in 1 or 2 years after the midterms if the Republicans win the midterms, because people like you will vote for them for some fucking reason, even though they want to put you in jail. You do realize this is the party that wants to imprison you, right?
Yeah, I do. I don't think it's going to get to that point, but
they want to imprison. I will remind you that they want to imprison you for 2 reasons. One reason is that you're a fucking communist, and 2 is because your skin color, probably because you said you're an immigrant.
So I'm gonna bring it. I'm not an immigrant. I was born here, but I'm gonna bring it back to this. Right? Like, I'm reading your chat. People are literally throwing capitalist points. They're being like, oh yeah, but they add to the economy, or it's not the immigrants' fault. I'm not blaming the immigrants. I don't have some personal like racial animus that like white Americans have towards these people. That's not what I have.
Dude, I just don't understand your perspective on politics fucking at all. Like, what would have been so bad about Harris? Is it still just illegal immigration?
I mean, are you? I saw this funny comment that said like, I'm mad I'm competing against a larger labor pool. Like, why should Americans compete against a large labor pool? Like, why?
Large labor pool. Good economy of scale.
Point. No, it's not. Okay. I don't know what you agree upon, like how this world is set up, right? But America is sort of like an empire. We exploit the rest of the world, and we set up these systems.
I'll be straightforward to you. I talk to a lot of leftists. I'm one of the only like hyper-liberal debate hosts that's gotten to my size that actually does engage with leftists and communists and people of your sort. I'm just being straight up with you, dude. I don't understand your political perspective well enough to even critique it. What the fuck are you talking about? You voted for Trump as a communist. I still can't wrap my head around it. Try again.
Well, I didn't vote for him, really, but I said like I would in a swing state, 100%.
Is this a troll? Like, what the fuck?
I mean, I think you're just not even engaging with it logically. You're just like disassociating with it, being like, this is crazy, this is absolutely. But if you can poke any holes in like you being a leftist and putting like an F-ICE thing, and if you can poke any holes in like any of his arguments I'm bringing up about immigration or working class people, I don't know if you're working class. I don't know. Like, where your background
I was until this show started up and got successful. Now I'd argue I'm even maybe working a little harder because this is fucking crazy keeping this fire under control. But
I'm not saying how much you're working. I'm just saying that like what background you come from.
But yes, I come from a broke, work long hours to barely make bills and decide between rent and food background. I'm a person who's worked hard in my life.
Okay.
So when you say that
we live under, sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, you're saying that you want to protect the working class. So your support for Donald Trump is fucking bananas. He's robbing the working class to pay the wealthy. The big beautiful bill is the greatest redistribution of wealth by legislation in American history, and it took money out of the pockets of poor people while also reducing the value that money would have by increasing the cost of living through the same sorts of policies. No, across the board. Again, that's why I keep saying,
I agree with you.
Even if you're completely right about the immigration thing, which I don't think that you are, even if you were, everything else is so very, very horrible. The power that he's giving the billionaires, the power that he's giving the corporations, the degree to which he's allowing money to influence politics, the degree to which he's leveraging politics to rob the working class people of their money.
You think Democrats don't do that, or you just think it's worse under Trump?
Does
is that what your point is?
I think Trump does it to a degree that's so much worse they aren't comparable. No.
Okay, so I would agree with you, and I'd concede completely that Trump is worse than Kamala on this. I think Kamala's pretty bad, and I think the threshold between the two, like which one's so much worse, is Trump's not like super much worse about being pro-oligarchy than Kamala. He's corrupt. He's doing a bunch of stuff.
Insane.
All of this stuff would have gone to the Democratic presidency too.
How many billions of dollars would Kamala Harris have enriched herself through her presidency?
Do they all enrich themselves?
How many
Trump
billions?
Is super corrupt. I can't guess. I don't know. Probably millions. She would have done the same thing. Obama
How many
did the same thing.
Billions?
Okay, so he does billions instead of millions.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That's a big fucking deal, dude. Like, you can't say that her doing millions and him doing billions is the same thing. Do you know how much bigger a billion is than a million?
Okay, so...
Do you know how much bigger a billion is than a million?
Okay, I'll concede the point. So say Trump is more corrupt.
How much bigger is it?
Okay, 100 times bigger.
No, it's 1,000 times bigger, and that's not even the way that I like to say it. The way that I like to say it is that a billion is about a billion more than a million if we're rounding.
Okay, what's the point? The point, it doesn't even matter. The point is that, like, okay, Trump is more corrupt than Kamala. That's fine. Is your angle here just hammering home that, like, it's crazy that I support Trump?
How did you... Wait, no.
I want to understand. Like, I don't understand your angle.
It's a big deal to me that you got that wrong. Like, I can give somebody a brain fart here or there, but you really didn't have 1,000 times bigger on the tip of your tongue when I asked you how much bigger a billion is than a million. I asked 3 times in a row. You had all the time in the world to stall. Were you counting the zeros in your head? Do you not have an intuitive grasp of how big these numbers are? Because I will argue.
Okay.
It's a hill I will die on. If you do not have an intuitive grasp of how much bigger a billion is than a million, then you are unqualified to talk about the economy in this country.
Okay, I just think you're just making up a bunch of nonsense to try to insult me in some way. I could say the grass is blue. It doesn't poke a hole in any of my arguments about immigration.
If you told me the grass is blue, I would say you're a shitty botanist, and because you told me that a billion is 100 times bigger than a million, I think you're a shitty economist.
Okay, I think you're focusing on this numbers game because you don't have a real response to my takes about immigration or labor at all, and your movement or Western leftism is just false. All you guys don't believe in anything really. You guys just run cover for oligarchy the whole time. You're not connected to working class people.
No, the reason the numbers came up.
Even this whole like elitist shtick, like, oh my God, you don't know, like, I'm like a Redditor and I don't know, like okay, like someone like, have you ever talked to someone who's kind of like lower IQ than you or dumb or something and actually tried to like reach them in some way? Like, it's very
I have some experience with that.
Very funny. That's good. That's pretty funny. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know, it comes across as very like, not grounded in anything. You didn't come across or talk about any of my points I'm making.
The issue of how much bigger a billion than a million is came up because you were talking about how Kamala Harris and Trump are like in the same ballpark in terms of their corruption, and I said that he's enriched. I alluded to the fact that he's enriched himself on the order of billions of dollars, which he has. And then I asked how many billions would Kamala Harris have enriched herself, and you said, oh, I don't know, this or that. And then I said, no, how many billions? And you said probably millions. And I said that is a very different thing because millions and billions are different. So that's how we got to the millions and billions thing. I'm not just sitting here giving you math problems to make you look bad. I do that sometimes on my show. I will concede the point then. Trump is more corrupt, but that's not, I don't think anything I believe, like people in your chat are saying it's so crazy. Immigrants are part of the working class. Like, you're a communist and you chose the more financially corrupt president. Think about that. So he's more financially corrupt than Kamala, like personally, or do you mean like the system he's in? Like, do you think under Kamala there's no corruption with defense contractors or institutes or dark money? It's an enormous system. There's going to be corruption, right? There's an enormous. There's lots of waste, fraud, and abuse everywhere. No president can solve all of the waste, fraud, and abuse. Would you agree?
I don't think it's even fixable by a president. I agree with you completely.
Then why are you pointing out that she wouldn't have fixed it completely? It's a non-argument when no president was going to do that.
I'm not saying she won't fix it completely. I'm saying she is also corrupt. I concede to your point. Donald Trump is more corrupt.
No, but you measured her corruption in millions, and I measured his corruption in billions, and you didn't even know that the factor that separates those two numbers is 1,000 instead of 100.
You're going to keep hammering home on it.
I am harping on it because it demonstrates that your understanding about this is fucking nonsense, dude. No, the idea that her level of corruption, even exists on a similar order of magnitude to Trump's is nonsense.
It isn't, because you're just comparing their personal stuff. Trump doesn't care. All his corruption's out in the open. Doesn't matter. Like, before we had this, like,
I'm sorry. Do you think that she would have stolen billions of dollars from the American people and hidden it?
I don't think on the same level as Trump. I conceded it already that Trump is more corrupt. I'm saying that she is corrupt. The Democratic establishment is corrupt. They steal billions of dollars through the system they set up, defense contracts, whatever it is. And I agree, Trump's more corrupt.
We're talking about who the president is, and he's so much more corrupt that I can't understand why you consider his immigration policy a win when you're a fucking communist, dude. It's nonsense.
It will help ordinary people more than Trump enriching himself. It would, if it was executed successfully.
What is your evidence? By what mechanism do you think that's true?
Again, wage growth. Okay, so wage growth is something that people don't want to see who own stuff, right? Illegal immigrants and legal immigrants drive down wages. I've seen this from business owners. They want to hire people on J1 visas, H1B visas, illegal immigration. They hire these people because they're cheap labor.
No. Big beautiful bill. Why was the big beautiful bill worth it? You're sitting here saying that you're happy that he's president instead of Harris. So you're saying that the big beautiful bill was worth it.
We're not talking about the big beautiful bill.
Yes, we are. It's my show, and you're saying that what he's doing with immigration makes it worth it. So the thing that is worth it is having the big beautiful bill, which is the greatest redistribution of wealth from the poor to the wealthy in American history ever accomplished by legislation.
He's going to pass some stuff for the oligarch. He's a Republican. Of course he's going to do that. It's not my point.
Why is that? No, I'm asking why it's worth it. You're saying it's worth it. Your support for him indicates that it's worth it. How is that worth it?
Yes, it is.
How?
Because, again, can I go back to what I was saying
for the chat, for people joining, we have a MAGA communist on the line. Somebody call Dr. Seuss. It's fucking opposite day.
Okay, so I went back and said, back then, if I was in a swing state, I'd vote for Trump, right? I'm saying that if Trump executes his immigration plan, H-1Bs are not, H-1B system is watered down.
We've already been through all of this, and I have said for the sake of argument.
You're not meeting me on this ground. You're just doing other stuff like, what about this about Trump? What about that about Trump? You're not meeting me on this ground because you know I'm right.
If you think that the companies that own the property are going to benefit so much more than his immigration policies, you are promoting trickle-down economics, you fucking non-communist. You don't know what communism is.
Who's going to benefit? What are you talking about? Explain what you're saying. I'm saying that ordinary people will benefit from immigration going down in this country. Companies will not benefit from this. Companies want to pay people lower wages. But you said it's the property
owners and the people who own the means of production. You're saying it's those people who
what?
I don't understand. I'm really not understanding how you are connecting Donald Trump being president to benefit for the working man, for the people that the communist cares about.
I've said it like 3 times, but I'll say it again, right? Do you think? I'll ask you right now a straightforward question. Do you think that illegal and legal immigration is good for American workers when it deflates their wages? You said before, yes, right?
Yeah, you actually believe that. The benefits of the country overall is good. Is
for the country. For who? For everybody on businesses.
Everybody on average. No, the working man. The working man.
Yeah, it's not. It's not though. Why is it just for the working man?
Because they pay into the tax system disproportionately, because their labor allows companies to succeed in such a way that
what do they do with taxes? This is ridiculous. I thought you were left with. What do you think what does America do with our taxes? Does it give us universal health care? Do they send missiles to Israel? What do you mean? What do you mean? That's such a great thing. They pay taxes.
Yes, they do some awful things.
Awesome.
They do some awful things with the taxes that I'm upset about, but they do also pave the roads, pay for the fire department, pay for the emergency rooms, pay for compulsory education for people until they're 18 years old. There's a lot of really important stuff.
Fine.
They give Social Security to elderly people as well as Medicare. They give food stamps to poor people so they're less likely to stay poor. Like, I can sit here and list good things that we do with tax dollars, and this is always my problem with the leftists, which you for some reason claim to be a MAGA leftist. The issue.
I mean, that's a weird.
Okay. Yeah, it is fucking weird to point that out. Sure. But my problem with the leftists generally is that you act as though nothing good has ever been done with taxes.
I'm not saying nothing good. I'm saying that, like, the argument that you're making that they pay taxes, you're literally saying because they pay taxes good for the average American worker. That's not enough to make it good for the average American worker. They come in and they depress wages. Even if they pay into Social Security, even if some of their money goes to building roads or something, the trade-off is not worth it at all for the average American worker.
I already brought this up earlier, but if we deport all of them, then how are we going to replace that population? We have to birth some people to replace them, right? Because we do need to replace them because the birth rate's too low for natural-born citizens.
Listen, with robotics and AI in the last 10 to 15 years, we're going to go through a mass deflation event.
You're gambling
it's
on
not
the
gambling. They all know this. The elites all know this.
But Trump makes it more likely that when the AI-driven robots that are capable of all this labor show up, instead of doing good things to make society prosperous, they're just going to be owned by fucking Jeff Bezos, and he's going to sell us in shitified plastic crap for too much money that we can't afford with our cheap wages.
This isn't even an argument. You literally just asked me like what would happen. I'm just going to explain a couple things, right? Number one, we're going to go through a mass deflation event probably when robotics and AI picks up and people are going to struggle to find work or whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
let me finish. Let me finish my point first, right? You're concerned, and I understand it, right? You're saying like, if we send all these people, who's going to pay into people's 401ks? Who's going to pay and support Social Security, right? We're going to have the need to replace this labor force. People aren't having kids. I don't think that's a good argument for letting in mass immigration to change the demographics of a country. It's like, we need to prop up boomers' 401ks and our Social Security because our America mismanages our money. Let's just let in millions of people.
Wait,
that's not a good
argument. The communist is talking about propping up 401ks? What the fuck is this?
No, I'm saying that they want them. Your argument is basically like, we need this pool of labor to come into here because we need to prop up people's 401ks.
You brought up something real, which is you brought up AI and automation, and I do recognize that technology is going to be an emergency for the labor force. We can agree that's common ground, right?
Yeah.
Who do you think is more likely to combat the negative effects of that on the working class? Democrats or Republicans, generally?
Dude, they're both pretty similar. What do you mean about this?
No, that is the primary way in which they're fucking different.
In what way? Please explain to me. The Democrats are they're anti-robotics or AI? I don't understand.
It's coming either way. They are in favor of social policies that protect the working class. So if we have so many robots that there's a labor emergency in the country, the Democrats might say, holy shit, it's time to do some UBI because we have too many fucking robots. We need to tax the people who own the robots and use that money to pay for people's fucking food and education. We were already paying for their education. We've been doing that for about 100 years. Let's add food to it. Let's add housing to it. Like, there are ways to address this that the Republicans are never going to do because they want to consolidate that power at the top. That's what we're seeing Trump do. That's why I brought up the big beautiful bill, because it was an obvious step towards consolidating that wealth.
You're saying that the Republicans are in power. I think
communism, dude.
Communism is like an unveiling of history over time towards a classless society, and it has to go through different stages of development till it reaches there. That's what communism is. It's not some like random like people don't own, like we're all going to be like in a utopia or something like that.
That not only is wrong, it sounds closer to democratic socialism than communism. Saying over time we erode the power of the capital held by the wealthy and powerful people. That's fucking democratic socialism, not communism.
No, it isn't, because you're saying over time like it's non-violent. I'm saying it's a historical process over time. There could be revolution involved in it. There could be different stuff happening during it. That's what I'm trying to say. Communism is the displacement of people who own everything with a class of people that don't own stuff, and they work towards a common good in society. That's basically it. And eventually the end state is a class of society.
Dude, if the chat wasn't so confused, I would think I'm having a stroke. This is incredible. I have never understood the caller's position less than I understand yours. This is wild. What the fuck? You don't know what fucking communism is, dude. Google it. Go do some reading.
Okay, so what's your definition? What's your definition of communism?
Communism is where everybody gets the same thing, because there's collective ownership of the means of production, and we distribute.
No, it's not. Does Marx say that?
Chat,
Did Marx literally say? Okay, that's really crazy. So you think that under communism, everybody gets the exact same things? Like we get the same amount of food, the same amount of the same amount of.
You didn't let me fucking finish.
Everything. Okay, go ahead.
Why, dude? Like, what the fuck is this? Like you can't give a good explanation for any of the things that you're trying to fucking like argue for. Like
your explanation was not good. It was not good at all. But
what was yours again?
Explain it to me.
No, it's almost.
Marx is talking about communism. Is just unveiling of it's a historical process, right? It's a historical process over time. The end state is a classless society, right? But to get to that stage, there's different stages of development, right? Like, for example, communists in the past believed that history, like societies have to go through a capitalist stage of development, and that was actually an upgrade from feudalism. Like there's a whole theory, there's a whole process that happens. It's not just that like, oh, everyone gets the same stuff. It's what Western leftists believe, and they're all wrong. They're all wrong. They believe nonsense. That's not real. None of the biggest Marxist parties in the world believe anything that they believe. None of them do.
Wait, you're saying that the Marxists don't believe what they believe?
Great. That's not. I think the Marxists across the world who are in different countries other than the West believe what I believe. Yes, they believe what I believe. Yes.
Believe what you believe. Okay. I mean, okay. Like, what is like the stupid like book definition of communism? It's like a classless society, no money, right? Currencyless society, no capitalism.
You could Google it.
That's the short definition, right? I bet it's in the chat. Hold on. I bet people were freaking out when we were doing the definition. Where is it?
You could Google the Webster right now. It's not what it actually is. If you go back and you understand what Marxists believe when they talk about Marx. And this doesn't even matter anyways. You're not addressing any of my points. You're not addressing any of my points.
I'm trying to, dude. I'm trying to understand your
you're
points.
Just going like, you're doing like outrage, like you're like farming your fans for like outrage or doing whatever. You're not addressing what I'm actually saying. That's all I'm saying. I want you to actually address and poke holes into it logically in some way instead of trying to pigeonhole me into like Trump or trying to bring up this like bill or something.
Do you think that Marx would have been pro-Trump?
Do I think Marx would have been pro-Trump?
Yeah.
I can't even say that. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Marx even believed in electoral like politics. Like, he didn't even believe in voting. There's been so much discussion in like Marxist beliefs about whether you should vote, whether you should not vote, whether we should have supported people World War I, whether we shouldn't have supported our country's World War I. Like, there's a whole like process. It's not just like one person, like what they say goes. It's not like Marx was some dictator. He was some dude who just wrote some theories, and the theory got evolved over time.
I think that Marx would hate Trump with a fiery passion. I think that Trump represents everything that Marx was upset about.
Trump represents everything Marx was upset about. I think Kamala does too, actually. I think they both do. Trump egregiously so, but they both do.
This is my problem with the leftists. You can't see the difference. I'm sure that Marx would have some hefty criticisms of Kamala Harris, but I don't think that he would look at our society and be like, oh no, it's these Kamala Harrises running around who are a big fucking problem for the people. He would be like, you put that fucking guy in charge? He would want to talk about Trump.
He would talk about Kamala. I'm not saying Trump's not egregiously wrong or whatever. I'm saying,
do you think that Marx would think that Kamala is worse than Trump?
Why are you harping on about whether Marx would believe or whatever?
Because I don't understand your perspective. You don't seem to know what Marxism and communism is or anything. Like your definition sounds...
My definition is way closer than your definition was. You just gave me just random thing.
I think you learned from ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is sycophantic, so it's twisted all these things in a way that makes sense to you.
I think you're just throwing some like ad hominem thing because you can't address anything what I'm saying.
I'm just telling you genuinely this is what I think is going on. Like
you're actually coping. It's actually true. You're coping hard this whole time. You're trying to like get me in these little like Reddit rhetorical things or whatever. You can't address what I'm saying.
I'm whatsoever. Not a Redditor. Like I made an accusation about ChatGPT and it hurt your feelings, and you're making an accusation about Reddit. Do you think I use Reddit?
Well, I said the Reddit thing because you said the ChatGPT thing. You threw an ad hominem at me.
No, you said Reddit. No, you did it earlier. Crazy. You did it 20 minutes ago. You did it earlier in the call as well. I didn't bring it up then, but you did.
Okay. Well, you've had this type of tone with me before too. I'm just saying, please address what I'm saying, how it's actually wrong. You can't. You didn't even address anything of what I said because I'm right. I'm right. That's it. Like Trump's Trump's immigration policy would actually be good for the average American worker. And I'm not xenophobic for saying that. Your chat's freaking out. One person asked if I like trans people. Like, I have no problem with trans people. It's not about trans people or gay people or anyone.
Rejection City, dude. Take a breath, man. What the fuck?
It's not, dude. You're just coping, and you're not gonna address anything I'm actually saying. So,
which of the jumble of shit you just said you want me to address?
Why do you believe that Trump's immigration policy is bad? Why? You're a leftist. You have that F-ICE, whatever it is. You consider yourself a leftist. You said earlier, like, you're at the same policies as Hassan, too, which is, like, pretty interesting to me, I guess. Like, you and Hassan, would you say you're both, like, close politically, or he's further left than you? Or
we're like, compared to most people in the population, I would say we're pretty close. Compared to this little slice of the boundary between being a traditional liberal and then, like, the edge case leftists, I think he's farther left than me, and we disagree about some stuff. But... yeah. What the fuck? What did I just ask you, dude? I'm losing track of this fucking conversation. I don't think you understand my perspective.
I understand your perspective because I'm saying, and I want to narrow it down to immigration right now. I'm saying that Trump's immigration policy would help the average American worker. You're saying it doesn't. So let's talk about it more, because obviously you skirted the whole issue.
No. You brought up Hassan Piker and it distracted me because you were asked me a question about immigration, and then I lost my train of thought because you brought it to Hassan Piker for some fucking reason. The reason I think that we shouldn't deport the illegal immigrants is that if we look at the binary case where we have a mass amnesty program and change the way that we handle immigration at the border going forward, compared to deporting all of them, is that when I look at the quality of life for the average American, including in a noteworthy case, the average working man, the average working person, the average laborer, I think life is better in the situation where we don't deport all of them for a bunch of complicated, interconnected reasons. You are pointing to one particular measure in the alternative case.
Can you name three right now?
The ratio of wages increasing against the cost of living increasing.
Why would the cost of living? So you're saying, wait, let me understand your position, right? You're saying that we should give them amnesty because their wages would, American workers' wages would increase to keep up the cost of living if we did give them an amnesty. Because of why?
I'm saying that if we look at the economic effect that immigrants have on the country, illegal or otherwise, but also, noteworthy, this is true of illegal immigrants, they are beneficial to the tax system, they are beneficial to the economy largely, they are less taxing on a lot of systems, even the ones they're allowed to use, because they commit less crimes and things like that, and we need that labor force for growing in the, for the growth of the country. There are benefits to the economy that they offer, and we'd be worse off without them. That's what the economists say, that's what all the analyses about this say.
So you say the economists say that, right? So you're going to say like the economists agree with me, so my analysis is more correct here. So here's my take on it, right? I think that bringing it back to wage growth or wage stagnation, more people who work or more people are here leads to wage stagnation. And you can see very clearly, because libertarian think tanks in this country, including Republican think tanks in the past, recently it changes. Can I finish? Let me finish my point. Oh, okay, I'll get to that, right? They advocate for immigration policy that lines up with what you believe. Now, why do you think they do that? Out of this benefit to the American system, who reaps the most benefits from it? Is it me or you, or is it people who own stuff like assets?
Because of assholes like Donald Trump, it's more and more with each passing day, the assholes who own this stuff. The Democrats are working against that, the Republicans are working for it, which is why it doesn't make sense to me that you support them as a communist.
So you think that, okay, the Democrats and Republicans are both working for that. They both are supporting the system that sets up business owners and asset owners in the oligarchy. There's no, like, you're trying to do this like differentiation between the two. Like maybe Democrats are like harm reduction, right? They're like a little bit better. They give more concessions to the working class, but like that's all they do. They both do similar things.
But unless you want societal collapse, that's the only path forward for you, is you get some ranked choice voting and start getting some more progressive ideas and get some third parties in power. Like that can happen with Democrats in control of the government. It's never going to happen with Republicans in control of the government. Why don't you recognize that?
So you're saying that the path through the Democratic Party would lead to real change, other than like...
I'm saying it at least can, but the Republican Party we know won't.
Okay, so what do you think about this new strain on the Republican Party of people being economically populist, which is a real phenomenon?
But just like moving on. Why? This is like the gishgalloping. We are not solving any of these things that we're coming.
No,
we are also out of time. I would love for you to call again. I genuinely want to understand your perspective, and I've been speaking to you for how long? I have been talking to you for 41 minutes, and I have no idea what your worldview is like. And normally after 41 minutes, I understand the caller a little bit. You make no fucking sense to me at all. I'd like for you to call back in another day. I'm usually live 10 to 12 Central Time.
Okay, have a good day.
What the fuck? What the fuck was that? Like, what the fuck? Everybody wants me to hop on Dean's live? Well, we'll see. That's up to Dean. What the maybe I need a rest after talking to that communist. Thank you, David, for the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you. He's a Dunning-Kruger effect on in full display. Yeah, I mean, like, fuck. Like, the thing is that the leftists do so much reading of all this academic old historical shit that, like, I have been slowly trying to get back up to speed on because I was president of the philosophy club like fucking 10 years ago. So I lost it on like normative. I forgot what the word normative means in ethics because I remembered what all the normative ethical frameworks are, but I forgot that normative was the parent category. I think that was yesterday. Somebody called me on that and I like had to Google it quick to like check if he was right. So like, they have all these book terms that sometimes, I need to get better as a debater in terms of like knowing where they're going with them sometimes because I don't always get my memory jogged quickly. But I was trying to have that guy explain his fucking position So, and I told him to come back. Everybody says I'm running. I told him, please call back. Jared sent me $25. Thank you, Jared, for the $25. I do need to wrap up the show. I got a shitload of work me and Jesse are about to do. Or maybe I'll hop on Dean, because that would be a good reason to procrastinate work, if that's something that might happen. Apparently, if you're stupid enough, you can just make up new definitions to anything and everything. I'm a vegetarian and I love steak, LMAO. Jared understands the caller. I don't. Thank you for the $25, Jared. Art by Al sent me $3 to add. I never got to learn new math, but this new communism is wild. Yeah, I mean, you know, a communist that supports Trump. Look, it's going to be a great clickbaity thumbnail, because we can put that in the thumbnail. This communist supports Trump, and it'll be at the end of the episode, so people have to listen all the way through. Araxa sent me $2 to say guest is authentic as a counterfeit Gucci belt. I think that was the previous caller. And then just now, Araxa sent in another $2 to say he's a utopian idealist and an accelerationist. Yeah, I immediately caught wind of the fact that he was like, you don't think the Democrats are going to give you communism, but societal collapse might, and that's what we get with the Republicans potentially. So yeah, that's an accelerationist. I just don't think he liked the label, but that guy didn't really do definitions very well, so I find that very confusing. So double check on the YouTube super chat. Yeah, okay, I gotta run, guys. I'm glad the chat mostly agrees that his position was nonsensical, because I was really, really trying to understand it, and I'm sorry for the fact that I am gonna let him back up to try again, because I want to see him keep trying. I would love to wrap my head around how a communist can support Trump. XDead Pandex for $2 on YouTube super chat says, please just one Michael Parenti lecture. Maybe. See you guys at 10 o'clock Central Time tomorrow for another show. Goodbye, TikTok. And goodbye, YouTube.